Chapter 11:10. Understood. This Lord Heir son was a simple-minded individual who could easily be deceived and manipulated. Uncle Jiang's questioning was not particularly polite, but Xiao Xian wasn't offended by it. She chose not to mention how Lord Heir son had lost consciousness when he was injured. With a smile, she explained, "A few ladies and I came to Faiyun Temple to offer incense, but we got separated as we were exploring the temple. Later, a young gentleman informed me that the ladies were enjoying the scenery in the back mountain, so he led me here. However, halfway through, I suddenly realized that he had disappeared. It was at that moment that I discovered Lord Heir son lying unconscious in the grass. I had just awakened him when you arrived." Uncle Jiang nodded. "I see." He examined Xiao Xian and smiled. "Madam Xiao, you seem to come from a prominent family. Why did you venture out without a servant?" Xiao Xian replied, "Officer, you have a keen eye. My husband is Primus Xiao, serving as editor Xiao at Hanlin Academy. We have 2 maids at home, but we had various matters to attend to today, so we didn't bring them along." "Oh, so you're Madam Xiao?" Uncle Jiang exclaimed, surprised. He studied her and smiled. "My apologies for the misunderstanding." He understood that Madam Xiao wouldn't be easily deceived. After all, the core issue lay with the Tian family. Even if the Tian family didn't care, there would be no shortage of people who would take advantage of their vulnerability. They might be attempting to gain favor with the Tian family or simply trying to exploit their weakness. Since their arrival in the capital, Xiao Xiao and Madame Xiao had been in the spotlight. "I am honored," Xiao Xian replied with a smile. "Since you're all right, Lord Heir son, I shall take my leave." She understood the situation. Whoever this young man was, he must come from a noble family to be addressed as Lord Heir son. Seeing Uncle Jiang and the others so concerned about him, she deduced that they must hail from a powerful family. If Xiao Xian hadn't awakened the young man, she would have struggled to prove her innocence when discovered in this situation. However, given the young man's mental instability, he could easily be deceived. If someone were orchestrating this, it could ignite a dangerous situation. Xiao Xian didn't believe that Madame Su would dare to manipulate a Lord Heir son. The Tian family, the 4th prince's mansion, or He Jiqing might be involved, but it always seemed to come back to them. Uncle Jiang expressed his gratitude, saying, "This is our Lord Heir son from Lord Anping Manor. Thank you for saving us, Madame Xiao. We will surely express our gratitude in the future." Lord Anping Manor? Xiao Xian hadn't heard of it before, but being a Lord Manor meant it was a highly influential family. She smiled and replied, "It was merely a coincidence, officer. You are being too kind with your words, and we are unworthy of your gratitude." Uncle Jiang smiled and didn't say anything further. He returned to the mansion to report to the Lord and the Princess Consort of Lord Anping Manor. Lord Anping Manor would never owe anyone a favor. However, as Qin Yi, the Lord Heir son of Lord Anping Manor, saw Xiao Xian preparing to leave, he tugged at her sleeves and exclaimed excitedly, "Sister, where are you going?" "I want to go too." Tuan, concerned that Xiao Xian might laugh at his master, quickly pulled on his arm and reassured him, "Lord Heir son, what would you like to play?" "I'll play with you." Xiao Xian smiled. "I'm going home. You should also return home. Don't wander alone. There are many unscrupulous people out there. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 11:11. Invitation. Unable to resist, Xiao Xian felt compelled to intervene. This young Lord Heir son was pure and harmless, especially with his innocent and adorable clear eyes. He appeared delicate, beautiful, and fragile, evoking sympathy from those around him. The young heir nodded obediently and refused to let her leave. "I want grasshoppers." He looked so pitiful. Xiao Xian sighed inwardly. Motivated by the situation, Tuan smiled and chimed in, "Lord Heirs, it's easy to find grasshoppers. I'll get them for you." But the heir didn't want that. "I want my sisters." Xiao Xian's head throbbed. She turned to Uncle Jiang with a wry smile. "I was just speaking with the young heir earlier. mentioning that we would weave grasshoppers for him, but before I could finish, you arrived. Tuan scratched his head, feeling uncertain. He didn't know how to weave grasshoppers. Uncle Jiang started to hesitate. Xiao Xian, as the wife of a court official, had her own county king and the princess consort of the prefecture who, for some reason, had been keeping a low profile. Strategist Xiao was the emperor's favorite, and if they kept his wife solely for the purpose of making a grasshopper for the young heir, it would be impolite and would expose their intentions. However, the young master was innocent, and the prefecture lord and the princess consort deeply loved their only son. They didn't want him to experience any grievances. Moreover, the young master had always been indulged and spoiled, so the entire mansion couldn't deny his requests. They couldn't just turn him down. Uncle Jiang pondered for a moment and suggested, "The prefecture lord's mansion is not far from here, and the princess consort of the prefecture is currently taking the young master to the abbey for a stroll. Madam Xiao, if it's convenient for you, please come to the abbey. That way, when the princess consort learns that you saved the young master, she can personally express her gratitude. Madam Xiao, please weave a grasshopper for our young master." Upon hearing this, the young heir became elated, unwilling to let go of Xiao Xian. He exclaimed joyfully, "Yes, sister, please come to my home. I have lots of snacks and fruits for you to enjoy." Confusion crossed Uncle Jiang's face as he turned to Xiao Xian for clarification. Xiao Xian helplessly explained, "I have some dates with me for the young heir to eat." The young master was reciprocating her kindness by offering snacks and fruits. What a well-mannered child. Suddenly, Uncle Jiang understood the situation and smiled. His young master had a remarkable character, although he had never shown such attachment to anyone other than the prefecture lord and the princess consort of the prefecture. Indeed, the young master might be innocent, but he was not foolish. He might not discern those who were flattering him from those who treated him genuinely, but he could sense it. As servants, they were always infuriated. Those young masters might wear smiles on the surface, but inside, they sneered at the young master. They were not worthy of doing so. Madame Xiao proved to be a genuinely kind-hearted woman. The young heir added, "The dates are so sweet." He seemed to be lost in reminiscence. Uncle Jiang laughed, assuming the young master was hungry and enjoyed everything he ate. He invited Xiao Xian to accompany them. Xiao Xian felt annoyed by Madame Su and the others. They might not have taken any direct action, but they were undoubtedly accomplices. In that case, there was no need for her to stand on ceremony. "Thank you very much. Officer Jiang, please have someone inform the monks at the monastery to let Madame Su know that she doesn't have to wait for me." "Okay. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 11-12 Confusion. Xiao Xian followed the young heir and Uncle Jiang to the mansion of the prefecture lord of Anping. The young heir was brimming with happiness, engaging Xiao Xian in discussions about feeding the fish, pastries, and fruits. As someone experienced in interacting with children, Xiao Xian effortlessly entertained and conversed with the young heir. Uncle Jiang, initially concerned about her patience, breathed a sigh of relief and found himself growing fond of her. Meanwhile, at Faiyun Temple, Madame Su and the others enjoyed a tea session before strolling through the garden to admire the chrysanthemums. They played for a while until someone realized that a ring seemed to have been misplaced in the garden. They assisted in searching for it, eventually discovering it in front of a cluster of golden chrysanthemums. Originally planning to venture into the back mountains for sightseeing, they decided against it due to fatigue. Instead, they returned to the courtyard and opted to rest before descending from the mountain. As they arrived at Shifeng restaurant for lunch, someone inquired about Xiao Xian's whereabouts. A person complained, "Madame Xiao is so young, yet she seems to do as she pleases. Why hasn't she returned yet? We're all waiting here." Another person jokingly chimed in, "Maybe Madame Xiao went for a sightseeing adventure in the back mountains." A Taoist added, "That can't be true, right? What is she doing all alone?" The first person smiled, saying half-jokingly, "You never know with Madame Xiao. She's quite audacious." Laughter filled the air. Indeed, she was bold. Madame Su's eyes gleamed with curiosity. She was about to send someone to fetch Xiao Xian when a young monk approached them, delivering a surprising message. Madame Xiao, you don't have to wait for Madame Xiao. She has gone to Lord Onping Manor to convey a message, please. What? Lord Onping Manor? What's happening? Madame Su's grip tightened on the handkerchief as she exclaimed, wasn't Madame Xiao in the monastery's intermediate area? Why was she taken to Lord Onping Manor? What transpired? Madame Xiao, please remain calm, the monk gently urged, providing an explanation. Madame Xiao was initially in the monastery's intermediate area, but Madame Xiao instructed her to wait at the back of the mountain. As she went there, she encountered the young heir of Lord Onping Manor, who had gotten lost. The young heir and she have a good relationship. When the people from the Prefecture Lord's mansion came looking for her, they asked her to visit the princess consort of the prefecture at the mansion. Worried that Madame Xiao would be concerned, she requested Lord Onping Manor to send someone to deliver the message. So that was the situation. However, what do you mean? We didn't go to the back mountain. Yeah, who informed Madame Xiao about this? This is so strange. Everyone regained their senses and exchanged perplexed glances. A mixture of sourness and complexity filled the air. How fortunate for her to encounter the heir of Lord Onping Manor and visit the princess consort of the prefecture. A few astute individuals began to sense that something was amiss. They refrained from speaking out, but their glances at one another conveyed annoyance and speculation. Someone was attempting to set up Madame Xiao. It was an outrageous scheme. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1113. Princess Consort of the Perfecture Lord. Madame Su's grip tightened on the handkerchief as she contemplated various possibilities and made her own conjectures. The calm demeanor of the monk, as if he hadn't heard anything, further fueled her suspicions. With a bow and a polite gesture, he left the scene. The temple in the outskirts of the capital often received visits from high-ranking officials and nobility. Open and covert struggles were not uncommon, although the temple usually remained uninvolved. Well then, let's descend from the mountain, one of the ladies sneered. We worried for nothing. Instead, she stumbled upon great fortune and fled without facing us, as if she feared we would follow her. She even concocted such a ridiculous story, claiming that we went to the back mountain when we didn't, and she had someone fetch her. Yes, she's simply making excuses for herself. Another lady chimed in, and the rest remained silent. Madame Su also smiled. Very well, let's go. All the ladies descended the mountain together. Some among them, driven by their desires for fame and fortune, started venting their frustrations towards Xiao Xian. Their anger grew more intense. Had it been someone from the prefecture lord's mansion delivering the message, they could have used the excuse of concern for Xiao Xian and the need to pay their respects to the princess consort of the prefecture, accompanying her to the mansion. However, it was the monks from the intermediate area of the monastery who conveyed the message. No matter how shameless they were, they couldn't simply barge into their residence like that. The prefecture lord's mansion wasn't a place they could casually visit. They would become a laughingstock if they were stopped at the doorstep. How could they not be angry at missing such a golden opportunity? But Xiao Xian remained unfazed. She wasn't worth cultivating a friendship with, in their eyes. At the mansion, Xiao Xian extended her greetings to the princess consort of the prefecture, who belonged to the Onping lord's lineage. The princess consort of the prefecture displayed grace and warmth, delighted to witness her precious son forming such a close bond with Xiao Xian. Despite being 14 years old, the young heir had the innocence and demeanor of a 4- or 5-year-old child. Gender was not a concern in their relationship. The princess consort harbored reservations about allowing her son to interact with others, fearing he might be mistreated. It seemed that both the young heir and Uncle Jiang, who had known him since childhood, had never seen him develop such a close connection with anyone outside their family. Consequently, they treated Xiao Xian with even greater enthusiasm. The only regret was that Xiao Xian was a woman. It would have been more convenient if she were a man. Nevertheless, the young heir grew extremely attached to Xiao Xian, and he might even seek a close relationship with Primus Xiao in the future. Xiao Xian crafted 2 grasshoppers for the young heir, a large one and a small one. Delighted, the young heir proudly presented them to the princess consort of the prefecture. He pointed at the big one and said with a smile, "This is mother," then pointed at the small one and said, "This is E." The princess consort of the prefecture burst into laughter, filled with joy. Even the princess consort of the prefecture began to show a gentler disposition toward Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian remained in the courtyard of Lord Anping Manor until 4 in the afternoon, when the princess consort of the prefecture finally managed to calm down the young heir. Only then did Xiao Xian take her leave. With a smile and a nod, Xiao Xian acknowledged the young heir's invitation to have fun together the following day. She had no reason to decline, as she found solace in the pure-hearted young heir. He was far more agreeable than the troublesome ladies. As the princess consort of the prefecture owned orchards and vegetable gardens, she instructed her servants to gather 2 large baskets filled with fresh fruits such as apples, pears, evening peaches, persimmons, dates, walnuts, grapes, and more. Additionally, she arranged for 2 boxes of homemade snacks from the small kitchen to be packed for Xiao Xian to take home. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:14. Laughter and Tears? That was what Xiao Xian loved. She accepted it happily. The fruits she received were not as tasty as the ones she had grown in her own space, but they were still quite delicious and fresh. The princess consort of the prefecture lord had sent a low-profile wagon to take her back home, and the coachman was very friendly, even helping to carry down 2 baskets of fruits. Li Qiu and Li Xiao were surprised by the amount of fruits Xiao Xian received. "Madam Xiao, you have bought so many fruits. They look so fresh." Xiao Xian smiled and told them, "They are gifts." The 2 girls teased that their madam must be very popular to receive so many fruits. Caught between laughter and tears, Xiao Xian couldn't believe they were serious. Was she really destined to have a good relationship with people? It seemed unlikely, especially now that the Tian family was gaining more power. She and Xiao Yunduan would not become popular in reality. Soon, Xiao Yunduan returned, and Xiao Xian shared her story with him. She didn't mention being set up as no one could deceive her in the mountains. Instead, she told him that she got separated from the madams and ended up saving the young heir of the prefecture lord of Anping's mansion. She also mentioned her visit to the princess consort of the prefecture lord. Curious, she asked Xiao Yunduan, "Darling, do you know anything about Lord Anping Manor? What kind of family is it?" The capital was filled with numerous nobles, high-ranking officials, and noble families, making it challenging to keep track of everyone's background. Xiao Yunduan, being part of the Hanlin Academy, had access to more information than she did. He was well-informed and often heard about various gossips and stories. Xiao Yunduan had heard rumors about the young heir of the prefecture lord's mansion being mentally damaged, so he decided to inquire further. Xiao Xian was taken aback by the revelation. "Oh, it's their family. I heard that the prefecture lord of Anping and the princess consort of the prefecture lord are both gentle people, and their youngest son is their only offspring. When he was young, he was exceptionally bright, capable of reciting sutras and hundreds of poems at the tender age of 3. The emperor adored him greatly. On one occasion, while accompanying the prefecture lord of Anping to the palace, the young heir playfully ate a plate of snacks intended for the emperor. Tragically, a eunuch beside the emperor sought to harm him and had secretly poisoned the pastry. Upon the revelation of this secret, the eunuch committed suicide, and numerous palace officials were implicated. Though the young heir's life was saved, his intelligence suffered irreversible damage, and he could no longer retain his previous brilliance. From that point onward, his mental capacity remained limited for the rest of his life. Xiao Xian sighed, feeling sympathy for the young man. He appeared so handsome and did not seem to be naturally lacking in intelligence. It was indeed an unfortunate turn of events. The princess consort of the Prefecture Lord and the Prefecture Lord of Anping must have been devastated when their clever son became mentally damaged overnight. However, the incident served as a shield for the emperor, and the couple did not dare to voice any grievances concerning the matter in court. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:15. Inside Story. They had nowhere to vent their anger, and they were not even qualified to investigate the matter personally. The palace remained a mystery to them, leaving them in the dark. What no one outside the family, including Xiao Yunduan, knew was that the young master was not poisoned by the eunuch's pastry, but by an elixir made by the emperor and the Taoist masters. As a consequence, all the Taoist masters and eunuchs involved in alchemy were beheaded by the furious emperor, and blood flowed like a river. And because of this, the emperor's reputation was ruined. He felt guilty towards his son and Lord Anping Manor, offering them abundant compensation, but he did not want to see them again. Every time he saw them, he would think of this, and he would feel very uncomfortable. The Prefecture Lord of Anping knew the truth of the accident and sensed the emperor's uncomfortable thoughts. Over the years, he had gradually faded out of the royal family's sight. Apart from necessary occasions, he and his wife never went into the palace. They did not want to offend the emperor. They did not want to get involved with governmental affairs at all. And the young heir had never been to the palace after that. It was reasonable that he did not want to go to the palace. No one would dare to mention that. The emperor let out a sigh of relief and was very satisfied. Therefore, they kept giving out great rewards. Apart from the crown prince, no other princes could match up to them. That was compensation for them. The Prefecture Lord and his wife were well aware of this. The funny thing was that even though he made some poisonous pills and the emperor dealt with the most trusted Taoist master, he was still engrossed in Tao seeking and elixir making. He believed that the new Taoist master would be able to make the pills. Only a few core members of the royal family knew about this, and outsiders knew nothing about it. Hearing Xiao Yunduan's words, Xiao Xian thought of this man who had lost his mind. He could never remember how smart he used to be. Even though he was smiling brightly and obediently, his eyes would never shine with wisdom anymore. He would always have the innocence of a child, which made him feel even more sympathetic towards the young heir. The Prefecture Lord and the Princess Consort of the Prefecture Lord felt tormented seeing their son like this every day. He is such a cute child. He even said that he wanted to have fun with me. Xiao Yunduan smiled. Darling, you are kind-hearted. The young master is not stupid, and it is not strange that he likes you. He is just a child, and he can do whatever he wants. But you are my wife, and it would be best not to get too close to him. Xiao Xian couldn't help but burst into laughter. She teased him. What are you talking about? You know that the young master is a child, so what are you talking about? Xiao Yunduan laughed. Xiao Xian had thought that the young master would not be here until a few days later, or maybe he had been distracted by something else and forgot about her. After all, children did not have a long memory. It was normal for them to be forgetful. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:16. Uncomfortable. Unexpectedly, the young master came the following morning. Apart from Uncle Jiang, Tuan, and a few guards, there was also a nanny and a maidservant. They got off the wagon and introduced themselves as Auntie Zhu and Xiao Shui. The young heir was delighted to see Xiao Xian. He greeted her with a smile and ran towards her, calling her sister. Auntie Zhu and the others greeted them and went into the yard. There were so many people that the patio was filled with more than 10 people. Auntie Zhu drove out the guards, except for Uncle Jiang and the small group, who offered the presents from the princess consort of the Prefecture Lord. She smiled. Our young master has been trying to find Madame Xiao, and the princess consort of the Prefecture Lord can't stop him, so I drove him here, hoping that Madame Xiao would not be disturbed. Xiao Xian thanked her and gave the gift to Li Xia, saying with a smile, "Thank you, Auntie Zhu, But Lord Air's son is so innocent and better than many people in the world. I am so glad that he remembers me. Why would I be bothered?" Auntie Zhu smiled brightly and nodded with a smile. "That is great, Madame Xiao. Just treat the young heir as you do to others, don't worry." Auntie Zhu could tell if they were sincere or fake. But her son was too pitiful to be played by others. Even if they looked down on him and laughed at him, as long as he was happy, they would pretend not to notice anything. They could not just put him in a group of 4- or 5-year-old children. That would be humiliating for him. But still, they felt uncomfortable. Auntie Zhu could tell that Xiao Xian was not looking down on that boy. In her eyes, the little boy was normal, and that was more precious than anything else. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan's home was not very big, and the young master seemed to have never been to such a small yard before, so he was very curious. Xiao Xian was stuck in a dilemma. She did not know what to play with him. So after a while in the yard, she decided to make some delicious food for him so he could help. Children always like to help. The young heir seemed to have received some very important mission. He was so excited and kept nodding to show that he was going to help. He was so careful that people could not help but laugh. Xiao Xian got some cassava powder, steamed pumpkins and taros, cooked some red beans, prepared raisins, crushed walnuts and almonds, and asked Li Xia and Li Qiu to help too. Soon they started to get busy. Their kitchen was not very big, so Auntie Zhu asked Li Qiu to take care of the young master when she saw Xiao Xian. After making sure that the young master would not get injured, she went into the hall with the others to take a break. The young master was a very playful child. The only requirement for the prince and the princess consort of the prefecture lord was that the young master should be happy. As long as he did not do anything against the law and morality, everything else should be treated nonchalantly and casually. They turned a blind eye. After a while, the food was cooked and served while still warm. The round taro balls were very cute. They were filled with sweet glutinous rice and soft red beans, along with sweet raisins, crispy and delicious crushed walnuts, crushed almonds, and drizzled with honey, sprinkled with dried sweet osmanthus. The dish looked bright in color, had rich ingredients, and the sweet taste was very tempting. It was especially appetizing at a glance. Auntie Zhu had never seen it before, but it seemed to be a dessert. She thought that it might be some local snack from Xiao Xian's hometown, so she accepted it with a smile. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:17, More Than Anything. But the moment they tasted it, their eyes sparkled. Very delicious. It is sweet, glutinous, not greasy and chewy. What is it made of? It is so delicious. Tuan and Xiao Shui were both young men and women in their teens. They loved sweet food, and the taro balls instantly fascinated them. Auntie Zhu and Uncle Jiang were not as straightforward as they were, but they seemed to agree. The cassavas were good things, and Xiao Xian had the intention of promoting them. She was not afraid that they would be robbed of their business. The Qin family was so big, and as long as they had a good reputation, no one would be able to steal them away. So she repeated the story with a smile. They even said that they had a lot of cassava powder from their hometown. If they did not mind, they could bring some home to have a try. There were 3 chefs at Lord Anping Manor who specialized in making snacks for their masters. They were very good at making snacks, and they only thought about one thing every day, which was to create different kinds of exquisite snacks for their masters with various ingredients. Auntie Zhu and Xiao Shui were servants who served their masters closely, and they were even more noble and knowledgeable than the masters at home. They had eaten all kinds of delicious food and seen all kinds of luxurious things. But they had never seen or tasted the taste of taro balls. Xiao Xian had never heard of cassava powder before. She was going to give it to the 3 pastry chefs so they could think about how to incorporate it into more flavors for the mansion. Also, the young master seemed to like it very much. That was better than anything else. Auntie Zhu did not turn them down, but accepted them with a smile. The young heir was eating the taro ball desserts he helped to make. He even put 2 bowls in the box, saying that he made them personally and wanted to bring them home for his father and mother to taste. That moved Auntie Zhu and Uncle Jiang. After eating the taro balls, the young heir was thinking about giving desserts to his father and mother, so they went home soon. He could not wait to serve the desserts to his mother. "Mother, I made this myself. Have a taste of it." "What?" The princess consort of the prefecture lord was startled. Auntie Zhu said with a smile, "The young master made desserts for the princess consort of the prefecture lord, and he brought them home for the princess consort of the prefecture lord to try. Our young master is the most filial." "For real?" The princess consort of the prefecture lord burst with joy and smiled. "He made it. It will definitely taste good." The young heir put a spoonful into the princess consort of the prefecture lord's mouth and asked eagerly, "Mother, is it tasty?" The princess consort of the prefecture lord felt sweetness in her heart. She nodded and smiled as she caressed the young master's head. "You are so good, so delicious." The young heir was so happy. "Please, mother, I will make more for you." "Okay, my son is so filial." The young heir smiled happily. After dessert, the mother and the son exchanged a few words. Xiao Shui and Tuan took the young master back to rest, while the princess consort of the prefecture lord asked Auntie Zhu how she was doing at the Xiao family. Auntie Zhu smiled and told the whole story. Princess consort of the prefecture lord of Anping smiled. "I knew that Madame Xiao is a good person. He likes going there, so let him be. You should treat them nicely and respect them. As long as he is happy, that is better than anything. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 11:18. Auntie Zhu smiled and added, "But princess consort of the prefecture lord, will the Tian family and the fourth prince?" The princess consort of the prefecture lord sneered. "Prefecture lord and I are just like this. Haven't we made enough concessions? What else can he do? I just hope that he can live a happy life, so he won't suffer any more while we are still alive. I don't care about anything else." The emperor said that they could have other children, but he also insisted that the title of prefecture lord must be given to Yi. Wasn't that enough? The emperor almost lost his life after being set up by the shameless Taoist. But when his own family learned about this humiliating thing, the emperor became even more afraid of his own family, despite feeling guilty towards Yi. He worried that his family would leak the secret and humiliate him. He wished that they could disappear as soon as possible. Only dead people could keep the secret. What if they had another child and told the child? He would not tolerate that. Also, she did not want to have any more children. Her Yi was so good, and she was not going to give him any less love. He had nothing left, and he could not live without the love of his parents. At that time, she told herself that as long as he was happy, she would not care about anything else. He liked to hang out with Madame Xiao, and he could go to Madame Xiao whenever he wanted to. The Tian family couldn't stand that, could they? Then they could come to her. They were afraid of the Tian family and the fourth prince, but the prefecture lord's mansion had never been afraid of them. That reminds me. Princess consort of the prefecture lord added. Get someone to keep an eye on the Tian family. They might not dare to come to our mansion, but they might try to bully editor Xiao and Madame Xiao. We can't let them suffer because of this. Auntie Zhu sighed inwardly and nodded with a smile. The young master was still a child. The Xiao family had a small yard, but he loved to hang out with Xiao Xian. Sometimes Xiao Yunduan was present too, so the children were watched by two people. There was nothing fun to do in the yard, so the couple took the young master out for a walk. The young master was a nobleman, and the prefecture lord of Anping, the princess consort of the prefecture lord, as well as Auntie Zhu, Uncle Jiang, and Tuan would not go to the market with him, even if they went out with him. At most, they would show him around the lantern market on the lantern festival, and most of the time, they went to the abbey. After all, there were all kinds of delicacies in the mansion, and there were pleasure boats in the mansion. Clothes, treasures, and toys. The embroidery maids and tailors who specialized in sewing and embroidery, as well as antiques for the young heir, were not interesting at all. The other rich young masters would only take him out for fun at banquets and gatherings. No one would ask him out for shopping. After all, it was not very suitable for the young heir to go shopping, watch rooster fights, or visit brothels. Therefore, the young master did not go out much. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian brought him out, which made him very happy. He loved the little clay figurines and a tumbler at the stall. He would always buy some small things and bring them home to show the princess consort of the prefecture lord, who was very happy too. Xiao Xian asked Xiao Yunduan to draw some lively and interesting animal drawings, which were drawn on thin wooden boards, painted, carefully cut by a craftsman, broken into uneven pieces of jigsaw puzzles, and then put together with the young master. They could not go out all the time, so jigsaw puzzles were the best way to kill time. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:19. The effect was unexpectedly good. The young heir fell in love with it as soon as he started to work on it. Soon, he became engrossed and focused on the jigsaw. Every time a complete picture was put together, he would be so happy for half a day. Auntie Zhu and the others were very happy to see this. They felt that their young master was very smart. He could even find so many pieces and put them together. When the princess consort of the prefecture lord of Anping heard about this, she felt glad seeing the puzzles. Who said that her son was stupid? If he was, he would not have been able to come up with such a difficult puzzle. Delighted, the princess consort of the prefecture lord asked some more people to make more exquisite jigsaws. She even made 2 sets of white jade with thinly polished gemstones to give to Xiao Xian. That was indeed very valuable. The puzzle gradually spread among the prefectures and was liked by countless children, becoming popular in the whole upper-class society. Later, the news spread among the commoners, and many businessmen saw the business opportunity and started making them. The ingredients were easy to get, and the civilians did not care if the workmanship was rough, as long as it was fun. The princess consort of the prefecture lord of Anping was even happier. Madame Xiao was the first one to take her son to have fun, and everyone else was imitating her son. Xiao Xian had intended to make some money with this, but when she realized that it was already being copied, she dropped the idea. They had no place to talk about copyrights at that period of time. And the news that Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan got involved with Lord Anping Manor soon spread. Everyone sighed emotionally. They were so lucky. Madame Su, who had asked Xiao Xian to visit the Faiyun temple the other day, felt annoyed. Those madams who had no idea what was going on were just there to keep the guests company. They felt jealous and emotional, but that was all after a few words. Madame Su and the others were there with a purpose. They took Xiao Xian to the back mountain of the temple, thinking that the mission would be completed smoothly, so Xiao Xian would have no way to defend herself. But it turned out that she was totally fine and even gained favor with the Lord Anping Manor by a freak combination of factors. Everyone knew that the young master of the prefecture lord had saved the emperor's life. The emperor believed that only the crown prince could hold a higher position in his heart. If the couple from the prefecture lord of Anping said a thing or two, the emperor would definitely agree. Forget about the emperor. When the new emperor took over the throne, he would have to support Lord Anping Manor and the young heir for the rest of his life, otherwise, he would be considered unfilial. This life-saving favor was even more valuable than a death exemption card. They could easily defend Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan. The Qiao family felt bitter too. Madame Lady Qiao and the others did not utter a sound. They felt that they had been slapped in the face. Even Madame Qiao, who had always thought that she was better than Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian, felt regretful. She already regretted when Xiao Xian cured the peony that the emperor had entrusted to his mother, and she couldn't help but wonder if she would have been able to use this favor if they had not broken off the relationship. If she begged the prefecture lord of Anping to put in a good word for the emperor, the Qiao family might have regained their title. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:20. Luck taken. After all, it was the emperor's call. Second Old Master and Old Master Qiao, who had been so happy and gloating when they broke off the relationship, now felt bored again. The couple could not help but complain about their fate. If they had not asked them to sign the contract, this would not have happened. First Madame Qiao and second Mrs. Qiao were both jealous of Qiao Xian's luck, so they blamed Qiao Hongxi. He is Qiao Xian's lineal brother, and he doesn't even try to talk him out of it. What else can I say? Qiao Xian is part of the third section of the family, and the third section of the family has the right to speak with her. The other one couldn't help but say, "That is so strange. How can Qiao Xian be so lucky? I think that is very suspicious. Qiao Xian must have used some underhanded, evil, sinister methods to steal the Qiao family's fortune, right? Why is she always getting all the good things, but we are always so unlucky?" Second old master's heart skipped a beat. He started to believe that. Hearing that elder brother was not doing well this time, he felt annoyed. He was in charge of the abbey, and the harvest this year was not very good. The third section of the family was even more unlucky. Hongxi was demoted, and the third section of the family was ostracized. The lineal daughter's marriage was ruined, and the concubine's daughter did something so shameless. What a coincidence! The two brothers had a tacit understanding of how to report the third section of the family. So they kept adding fuel to the fire in front of Madame Lady Qiao. Madame Lady Qiao, who had been feeling very uncomfortable, got even more furious hearing what she said. Madame Lady Qiao felt that her brothers were right. She ordered someone to fetch third old master and his wife. They had not expected that if they insisted on driving Qiao Xian out of the family, Qiao Hongxi would not be able to change their mind, no matter how much he objected. But at this moment, someone needed to bear the anger and grievances, so they could prove that they did not personally push out the favor, so they did not care. Third old master and third Madame Qiao were so confused and bewildered by the scolding. They did not understand what was going on until a long while later. Third Madame Qiao shivered in anger, gritting her teeth. This wretched old woman. They helped the first section of the family and the second section of the family get so much money from the third section of the family, and now they were blaming them for Qiao Xian? Did they regret driving that woman away? Third Madame Qiao felt secretly pleased. They were so unlucky. As for her own family, she was caught in a vicious cycle and had no idea what to do. Third old master felt aggrieved too. His son never disobeyed his elders, and he could not be blamed. But third old master started to suspect if Qiao Xian had stolen the Qiao family's fortune. That sounded very reasonable. Madame Lady Qiao said angrily, "Just think about it. Is there anything wrong with Qiao Xian? You are her parents, and you should know something, right? We need to find a way to get the Qiao family's luck back, otherwise, she would be too lucky." Third Madame sneered and said nothing. Her son was an officer, and her husband was an officer too. They were not that bad either, were they? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1121, Arrogant People? Weiss' marriage was going to take place after 1.5 years. She could just marry someone who was not as good as her own family, and she would not have to worry about not finding a suitor. They were all unscrupulous people, so why should she help them? Third old master thought for a while and said, "That girl has always been timid, but..." Third old master was startled too. Yes, the girl was timid before she got married, but after she got married, she gradually changed. When her husband Xiao Yinduan became an intermediate provincial champion, she became even more assertive and even talked back to him. Then, not to mention later on, how dare they follow Xiao Yunduan into the capital and cut off all ties with the Qiao family without his permission? How dare they? Third old master narrated the story angrily, while third Madame Qiao sneered. She is just pretending. She is just pretending to be weak and submissive. That was true, judging from the current situation. But Madame Lady Qiao and the others did not want to hear this. Madame Lady Qiao snapped at third Madame Qiao. "Shut up if you don't know what to say. I think she must have taken away the Qiao family's fortune. Otherwise Xiao Yunduan would not have become the intermediate provincial champion, which should have been ours. Look at the daughters you are raising." Third Madame said coldly, What do you think, mother? We are going to get our fortune back. Madam Lady Qiao got so annoyed that she said without hesitation. Then they all looked at each other and fell into silence. Second Mrs. Qiao lowered her head guiltily. She was just saying that out of anger. Actually, she did not believe that a concubine's daughter was capable enough to steal the Qiao family's things. According to the third section of the family, they were just pretending to be weak. Once they had the power, they would show their fangs. Madam Lady Qiao did believe her, and she insisted on taking back the Qiao family's fortune. She even asked old Master Qiao to seek Taoist masters, so Qiao Xian could not take advantage of them. Old Master Qiao and the others had no choice but to agree. They would deal with it later. What a joke! Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian were in the limelight right now, and the Emperor and Lord Omping Manor were defending them. No one would be able to bear the consequences of calling her a thief without any evidence. Everyone at the Qiao family was very disheartened by what happened. So was the Tian family. Is the princess consort of the Perfecture Lord out of her mind? What does her stupid son know? Ms. Qiao must have tricked him. How dare she treat Ms. Qiao as someone close to her? What a joke! Tian Shanshan threw an exasperated look at her angry mother and smiled. They are able to gain favor with the princess consort of the Perfecture Lord because they are capable. Mrs. Tian was startled. She turned to her daughter and sighed. I just can't stand Miss Qiao. She is so cunning. Tian Shanshan said, how can the benefits obtained through unorthodox methods last long? Mom, don't get angry over these small things. It is not worth it. Let's just wait and see. The Tian family can afford to wait. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:22, Closer. Madame Tian felt slightly relieved. She felt both gratified, heartbroken, and guilty. Good Shan, sorry for the trouble. Tian Shanshan smiled. You will fall when you reach the advanced level. That is true. Madame Tian smiled too. True. Tian Shanshan was calm and generous in front of her mother, but when she returned to the boudoir, her face sank. With one hand holding the scissors and the other holding the cloth, she cut them with a cold face. The silk that cost more than 100 liang turned into rags in her hands. She would not smash things, no matter how bad her temper was. It would cause too much of a commotion, and she would not look good. She was not reserved enough. Fu stood by the side with her head lowered, not daring to utter a sound. Tian Shanshan suddenly put down the scissors and glanced at Fu. Get the wagon ready. I am going to the fourth prince's mansion to greet my cousin. Okay, miss. Tian Shanshan's visit to the fourth prince's mansion was just an excuse. What she really wanted to see was He Jiqing. Tian Shanshan could tell that He Jiqing was the same kind of person as she was. But He Jiqing was just a low-level concubine, and she was nothing compared to her. Tian Shanshan asked He Jiqing to speak with her privately. I heard that you and Miss Qiao and Qiao Xian are all from Yuzhong? You used to be friends? He Jiqing's heart skipped a beat. She did not dare to offend this cousin who was in a good position in front of honored Princess Mei and the fourth prince. So she nodded with a smile. Miss Qiao was at the Xie family's banquet with Madame Yuesheng, so we met each other, Tian Shanshan chuckled. Since you are old friends, it is fate that you meet again in the intermediate. You should cherish this fate and get closer to her. He Jiqing turned pale. Tian Shanshan looked into her eyes and said, not only her, but also the Qiao family. We should get close to each other, don't you think? Yes, you are right, Tian Shanshan smiled. You should bear that in mind. Yes. Tian Shanshan walked away gracefully, and He Jiqing almost collapsed to the ground. She was not stupid. She understood what Tian Shanshan meant. Everyone knew about the grudge between the Tian family and the Xiao family. Tian Shanshan would not allow her to get close to Qiao Xian for no reason. She was asking her to deal with Qiao Xian. She even told her to drag the Qiao family down with her. She could pretend that she did not understand what she meant, but Elder Miss would not forgive her if she did. She was just one concubine of the fourth prince. Elder Miss had many ways to deal with her. Even if she dealt with Xiao Xian, she could not get anything from Elder Mississippi. After all, it was not Elder Miss who asked her to do so. He Jiqing gritted her teeth. This cousin of the Tian family was so difficult to deal with. But she could not even throw away the hot potato in her hands. Xiao Xian was discussing with Xiao Yunduan about going back to Shaoding village. Xiao Yunduan had no choice but to make a plan for her. He hired 6 escorts from the most reputable escort agency for Xiao Xian in Tianjin, together with Li Xia and Li Qiu. After Xiao Xian left, they could not tell anyone that she was going home. If anyone asked, they could just say that she was staying at the nunnery and would not be back until a few days later. In a few days, a few more days, they would be back. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1123. Back home. That was just a precaution and no one would ask about it. At most, he would tell Auntie Zhu when the young master came to have fun. They decided to leave in mid-October, with a few days left. When everything was ready, the two of them felt a bit reluctant to leave. They would be separated for at least 40 days. Actually, Xiao Yunduan wanted Xiao Xian to spend the new year at home and come back when the spring came. But Xiao Xian did not want to do that. She was going to spend the new year with her husband. She had already decided to hurry on the road, which would take at most 20 days. She was going to stay at home for 7 or 8 days, and she was going back to the capital by the end of November. The wagon was light and simple. As long as they had enough money, they could hire all kinds of good wagons and horses. They did not need to worry at all. Xiao Yunduan did not want to be apart from her for too long. He kept telling her to be careful on the way home, so he agreed to wait for her to come home for the new year. But he did not want to leave before she left. The two of them cherished the remaining time they spent with each other. They talked, laughed, and enjoyed each other's company, wishing that they could not waste a single moment. When the night came, they embraced each other, expressing their love and passion, knowing they would soon be separated. They held on to each other tightly, savoring every touch, kiss, and caress. When morning arrived, Xiao Xian slept for half a day. Li Xia and Li Qiu blushed and did not dare to say a thing, pretending as if they knew nothing. Xiao Xian, too, was pretending. She did not want to make up for the lack of temperance. It was too conspicuous. But she felt sore all over when she woke up in the morning, especially at her waist. She could not even hook it with her fingers. She just needed to lie down and take a good hot bath to feel comfortable. Every time the two girls pretended to know nothing, Xiao Xian swore inwardly that she was not going to do that tonight. But when it was night time and they were going to be separated soon, they forgot about everything else. Then she gave up the idea. Her husband was the most important, and she should focus on the other aspects. Xiao Yunduan did not see her off on the day of departure. He put on the cloak for her, kissed her face and lips, took her hands and said gently, "Pay attention to the clothes on the way, don't catch a cold. Don't be in a hurry, just watch out for the situation. If you really can't make it home, don't force yourself." Xiao Xian felt her heart warmed. She turned to Xiao Yunduan and said with a smile, "Don't worry, darling, we are so lucky to be able to see the light of day. We will have a smooth journey." At least they did not have to worry about safety. She would love to see someone picking on her. Xiao Yunduan was amused, but he let out a sigh of relief. "Okay, my wife is so lucky, everything will go well." The two of them exchanged a look and exchanged a few more words before parting ways. Xiao Xian drove out of the town and headed directly to Tianjin. Songshi went to Tianjin the day before and arranged everything in advance. When Xiao Xian and her two maids arrived, they changed the wagon and started to travel. It was still October and the weather was slightly cooler, but it was not yet cold. If the weather was good and the sun was strong, it would still be hot at noon. But overall, the weather was very suitable for traveling. Xiao Xian did not want to waste any more time, so the trip went smoothly. But one day, Xiao Xian sensed that it was going to rain, so she spent half a day on the road and decided to stay at an inn in the town after lunch, citing fatigue as the reason. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:24, Way of the World. But it started to rain heavily around 3 in the afternoon. The escorts, as well as Lixia and Liqiu, were all very glad that they had stayed for the night. Otherwise, they would have been caught in the rain without any shelter. Xiao Xian smiled. She had sensed the change in weather. With her foresight, they returned to the province smoothly on October 18th. It was 4 in the afternoon when they arrived in the town. Xiao Xian decided to visit the Yuezheng family directly. First Madam was both surprised and happy to see her. She greeted them warmly and invited them inside. Xiao Xian also felt a sense of closeness, as if she were back at home. First Madam looked concerned when she noticed Xiao Xian coming home alone. She asked nervously, thinking that something might have happened between her and Xiao Yunduan. Hearing that she was just worried about her family and properties, First Madam let out a sigh of relief and started to chant prayers for their well-being. Xiao Xian sighed emotionally. She and Xiao Yunduan were in a good relationship, and they had been through so many dangers together. Yet, Aunt Yuezheng was still concerned about what would happen between them. It showed how cautious and protective women had to be in this era. They had little control over their fate. It all depended on whether the man would change his mind. Xiao Xian had to go home first, so they gathered their belongings and left the following morning. They were planning to stay a couple more days before returning to the capital. First Madam was quick to act. The very next day after Xiao Xian's departure, the Yuezheng family servants arrived with 2 wagons filled with all kinds of food, clothes, and entertainment. Seeing the wagons, Xiao Xian suddenly realized what was going on. Yes, she was returning from the capital, and from her perspective, it was more convenient to travel light, so she didn't bring many belongings. But in the eyes of the villagers, it might seem like she and Xiao Yunduan had nothing in the capital. To the villagers, the quantity of belongings she brought back was a direct reflection of how well they were doing in the city. If they didn't bring much, people might start speculating that they were struggling to survive. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan themselves didn't care about these rumors, but her Aunt Yuezheng understood the importance of appearances in the village. If such rumors spread, it could be detrimental to their family's reputation and even attract unwanted attention from greedy individuals. Xiao Xian couldn't help but feel grateful to her aunt for her quick thinking. She realized how naive she had been about such matters. "Thank you, Aunt." Xiao Xian bowed to First Madam. "Without your help, I might have faced serious trouble." First Madam smiled and pulled her up. "No need to be so formal with me. You are still young and it's perfectly normal not to think about these things yet. The fact that you made up your mind so quickly shows maturity beyond your age." Xiao Xian smiled shyly, feeling humbled by the experience. Dealing with such matters was indeed a cumbersome task, regardless of one's age. She admired her aunt's foresight and understanding of the world. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:25, Back to Shaoding Village. With 2 additional wagons for servants, 2 maids, and 6 escorts, they formed a large and imposing group of people as they arrived at Shaoding Village. Xiao Xian's generous and kind nature was apparent, contrasting with her mother-in-law's mother. The 6 escorts, who had been prepared for any troubles on the way, found themselves dealing with a very friendly and polite client. Although they had never dealt with the Yuezheng family before, they could sense that it was not a family to be underestimated. Madame Xiao's numerous contacts further emphasized the importance of showing politeness. By the time they arrived at Shaoding Village, it was already dark. Even in the darkness, Xiao Xian felt a sense of familiarity as she gazed at her surroundings. Though she had no emotional attachment to the Qiao family, she couldn't help but consider Shaoding Village as her true hometown, especially since she had developed strong bonds with the Xiao family and Xiao Yunduan. After dinner, Lixia and Liqiu knocked on the door of the Xiao family's first section. Yang Xiani's voice called out from inside, asking who it was. Li Xia and Li Qiu responded, "Third madam, it's us, Li Xia and Li Qiu. Third madam, please open the door, our madam has returned." Something fell onto the floor, causing a loud clang sound. The door creaked open, and Xiao Xian stood there, looking up at Yang Xiaoni with bright eyes. She exclaimed, "Third sister-in-law, I'm home." Yang Xiaoni was taken aback and immediately burst into tears. She threw herself into Xiao Xian's arms, crying out, "Fifth sister-in-law, it's really you. Mom, Dad, Sanleng, elder brother, sister-in-law, Tao, fifth sister-in-law is back. Fifth sister-in-law is back." Third sister-in-law. Xiao Xian smiled and patted Yang Xiaoni's back. Third sister-in-law was as open-minded as ever. It seemed that everything was going well at home. Ms. Fong and Tao Tao all screamed when they heard what Yang Xiaoni said. "What did you say?" "Ms. Qiao, it is you." Ms. Fong had not yet finished the complaint about the excitement as she went forward happily. Ms. Su, Tao Tao and the others all came forward happily. The commotion at the gate of the first section of the Xiao family attracted the attention of all the neighbors, and they gathered to watch and greet Xiao Xian. The sight of numerous bags coming out of the wagon made them feel both envious and respectful, as they realized how wealthy the first section of the Xiao family truly was. As Xiao Xian entered the house, the neighbors followed suit, eager to chat and see what was happening. News of her return quickly spread throughout the village, and even the land officer and others arrived to greet her. Xiao Xian's status as the wife of an officer and Xiao Yunduan's position as the village manager made them highly respected figures, and their return was a cause for celebration. Unaware that so many guests would come to greet her, Xiao Xian and her family had to receive them well. They asked the servants to unpack some snacks and refreshments for the guests to enjoy. Ms. Fong instructed her sons to take care of the escorts and servants from the Yuezheng family and provide them with a place to rest. Meanwhile, Ms. Su and Yang Xiaoni sought the help of their two sister-in-laws and busied themselves in the kitchen, preparing food for the guests. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1126, Friendly. Xiao Xian must have returned from the province early in the morning, and everyone knew that she must not have eaten anything yet. As dozens of people had not eaten either, despite the late hour, they all enthusiastically joined in to help prepare food. They worked together to kill chickens, crack eggs, wash rice, and pick and wash vegetables, keeping busy in the kitchen. Meanwhile, Xiao Xian was surrounded by Ms. Fong and a group of senior villagers, all eager to ask her various questions. They were particularly concerned about how Xiao Yunduan was doing in the capital, and Xiao Xian happily answered all their inquiries. She described the capital as not being as picturesque as they might have expected, but she found the diverse scenery intriguing and enjoyable. She emphasized that life was about experiencing different things, which could make it interesting and exciting. However, Xiao Xian admitted that she had an advantage with her cheat and being remembered by the emperor, which had secured her a position as a supporter of Lord Onping Manor. She acknowledged that she and Xiao Yunduan would have been quite powerless in the capital without their establishment there. Once the dishes were ready and placed on the table, Ms. Fong joined them to eat and asked some female elders to eat together as well. She then advised them to head home for the night, acknowledging that Xiao Xian must be tired after her journey. She also mentioned that they could come back the next day to continue their discussions. The guests understood and started to leave one by one. A few female seniors stayed behind to share a meal with them, but they also left after the meal. Ms. Fong had many questions to ask, but her main concern was about Xiao Xian and her husband's well-being in the capital. When she heard that they were doing well, she felt reassured and told Xiao Xian to rest for the night, promising to continue their conversation the next day. She even said, "You must have had a long journey. You don't have to get up so early tomorrow. You can sleep until noon." When they reached home, Xiao Xian let out a sigh of relief. She felt so tired that she could not stand it anymore. She nodded with a smile and went to bed. She was still sleeping in her and Xiao Yunduan's room. Though neither of them was at home, Ms. Fong still cared about her children, so her and Xiao Yunduan's yard and cheese rooms were cleaned every few days, and the windows were opened for ventilation. When they came back, they would only need to put the bedroll up so they could sleep. All clean. Xiao Xian could not help but feel moved. Mother-in-law and the others were so nice. The following day, Xiao Xian did not get up at noon. She got up around 9 o'clock already. The main cause was that she felt relaxed and happy when she was back, and she was thinking about her flowers, plants, and various fruit trees. When she woke up, the family had already done what they needed to do, and they had already eaten breakfast, so they saved one portion for her. They ate porridge and steamed buns this morning. The steamed buns had 3 fillings, namely smoked meat diced with fried plums, fresh mushrooms and shrimps, chives, egg and tofu diced. The smoked meat and plums were also added with chili, which tasted delicious and spicy, especially energetic. Xiao Xian was very satisfied by the taste. She drank half bowl of porridge and ate 2 smoked meat buns as well. Ms. Fong smiled. Your third brother has gone into the town to buy meat, and I asked him to buy some pork and mutton for stewing at night. It would taste so good. Xiao Xian nodded and thanked her with a smile. Thanks, Mom, I know you treat me the best. I can stew them with fresh mushrooms and bamboo shoots, just thinking about it makes me drool. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 11:28. Many people? Due to the significant expansion of the flower field this year and the hiring of many villagers to assist, the secret of the flower field could no longer be kept hidden for much longer. After the discussion, Tao Tao and the others didn't find it too troublesome. They carefully stored away the lipstick-making tools, took them home that day, and brought them back the following day. This way, they ensured the tools wouldn't be easily stolen. The villagers were quite curious about the floral field, considering the number of people being hired to help. While they couldn't fathom how the first section of the Xiao family had earned so much money, they knew that planting these flowers was undoubtedly a lucrative venture. People inquired about it, some even asking outrightly. However, no one dared to act against the Xiao family's standing in the village. The land officer made it clear that any attempt to harm the first section of the Xiao family would be thoroughly investigated, and the perpetrator would be expelled from Shaoding village. Moreover, apart from the floral fields, the first section of the Xiao family was involved in cultivating cassavas and managing the tea fields of the Zhang family. They hired villagers to assist them and paid them well. Additionally, there were various odd jobs available, offering a great way for the villagers to supplement their income. The villagers understood that ruining this arrangement was out of the question, and they respected and cherished the opportunities provided by the Xiao family. Moreover, Ms. Fong was not one to be underestimated. With the strength and unity of Xiao Sanlang, Xiao Dalong, and the sisters-in-law, anyone contemplating doing something harmful wouldn't dare to make a move. Tao Tao took great care of the floral field and proudly showed it to Xiao Xian with a smile. Xiao Xian observed the flowers and infused them with a touch of her superpower, ensuring they grew stronger and more vibrant, storing energy to thrive even more vigorously. While she was home for a few days, she knew she could attend to the flowers again in a few days' time. The floral fields held significant importance to her, and she realized that relying solely on Chunyu and the other servants might not be sufficient. She decided to hire additional trustworthy servants as a precautionary measure. Having a backup plan was essential in case of any unforeseen events. She intended to discuss this with Ms. Fong and seek First Madam and Yuezhing Xiao's assistance in selecting reliable families when they went to the province. Xiao Xian remained relatively unconcerned. With her mother-in-law's presence and the contract in hand, she didn't worry too much about tricky buyers. However, the situation at home was becoming less convenient due to the lack of extra living space. Observing the floral field, she decided to build a few houses nearby, enough to accommodate 10 or 20 people. This would make it much easier for Tao Tao and Xiao Sanlang in the future. As the scale of beekeeping would continue to expand the following year, they would need numerous beeswax for the production of lipsticks. It was crucial to handle beekeeping within their family rather than entrusting it to others. If Zhang village couldn't accommodate them anymore, they would consider doing the same thing elsewhere. Furthermore, they could involve the villagers in flower planting as well, allowing them to sell the flowers themselves to avoid any potential losses. Qiao Xian also planned to teach the villagers how to cultivate shiitake mushrooms, wooden ears, tea tree mushrooms, and snow fungus. These products could be made into dry goods, and she could seek help from the Yuezheng family. If the Yuezheng family wasn't interested in purchasing these goods, they could connect with other businessmen willing to buy them. The ultimate goal was to ensure that when they enjoyed the profits, the villagers could also benefit by having a share of the rewards. This way, the entire village as well as their family would prosper together, creating a mutually beneficial situation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1130, Potato. Observing Tao Tao's expression, Qiao Xian could easily tell what she was thinking, and it brought a warm smile to her face. Being trusted and anticipated felt wonderful. Aside from the fruits, Qiao Xian also brought back many potatoes. Thanks to her attentive care, both the potatoes planted in the backyard of the capital and those growing in the space were flourishing. The potatoes in the capital had already been dug before their return. The harvest was bountiful, with more than 10 plants yielding over 30 to 40 potatoes each, all bigger than a fist. Qiao Xian wasn't the only one delighted. Li Qiu and the others who helped with the digging were equally joyous. Xiao Yunduan found it hard to believe. He stood there in awe, staring at the pile of potatoes before him. Among the various crops they grew at home, peanuts, soybeans, corn, and taros, none compared to the impressive productivity of the potatoes. Initially, Qiao Xian referred to them as yams, but the name got out and she subsequently explained that their shape was more like enlarged beans that grew deep in the soil at 5,000 meters, making the name potatoes more suitable. No crop could rival the productivity of potatoes. They had planted dozens of potato plants in the backyard and managed to harvest 2 baskets full of them. The potatoes were plump and filling, resembling yams in shape, but their yield surpassed yams by a considerable margin, making them quite rare. In the evening, Qiao Xian prepared a variety of potato dishes. She made stewed beef with potatoes, fried potato slices, hot and sour shredded potatoes, and even a few small potato pancakes. Xiao Yunduan found them all incredibly delicious. Potato slices and shredded potatoes could be used in cooking, while potato cakes could serve as a food source. Even though they might not fully replace other food items, they could easily supplement meals during times of scarcity. Though not as versatile as corn, the potato yield far exceeded that of corn. It had been a long time since Qiao Xian last tasted potatoes, especially her favorite hot and sour shredded potatoes. She proudly boasted to Xiao Yunduan about the culinary delights she prepared using potatoes. Xiao Yunduan smiled and praised Qiao Xian for her ingenuity. He emphasized the need to keep the discovery of potatoes a secret, cautioning her not to let anyone, especially the young master of the Prefecture Lord's mansion, taste them. Xiao Yunduan explained to Qiao Xian in detail that potatoes were a valuable new crop with the potential for large-scale cultivation, which could greatly benefit the people if it were promoted. However, he also stressed the importance of being cautious about it. Specifically, he warned her not to mention it to Lord Onping Manor. The manor had distanced itself from worldly affairs, and getting involved with the court could lead to complications. If the prefecture lord got wind of the potatoes, he might report it to the emperor, dragging Lord Onping Manor into unnecessary trouble. Qiao Xian understood the gravity of the situation and nodded in agreement. She assured Xiao Yunduan that she would be discreet about the potatoes. She reminded him that the bountiful harvest was a result of her careful attention to the potatoes in their own backyard. If they were widely promoted, the yield might not be as plentiful. Xiao Yunduan replied with a smile, saying that even if a dozen fruits were produced, it would be more than enough. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1131. Seeds. Xiao Yunduan understood his wife's intention. They should keep the potato discovery low-key and avoid raising people's expectations too much to avoid potential misunderstandings. They decided to save the harvested potatoes for seeds and only occasionally stir-fried one to satisfy their craving. In reality, Xiao Xian had much more in her space, twice the quantity outside. She began planting them again and planned to bring some back for her family. While visiting the floral fields and orchards, Xiao Xian generously gifted Ms. Fang and others 15 kilograms of potatoes. She explained that they were excellent for planting next year and emphasized their versatility, as they could be used as both a dish and a rice substitute. The simplest cooking methods were roasting in the stove or steaming in a pot. In times of famine, they could be life-saving. Moreover, potatoes were highly durable and could be stored for a long time. However, she cautioned that the storage area should be dry to prevent them from germinating, as green sprouts on potatoes could be poisonous and should not be consumed. Xiao Xian's ability to provide such a substantial quantity of potatoes made her unassuming to Li Xia and Li Qiu, so she wasn't worried about raising suspicions. After spending a day in the dormitory, she casually sent the two girls away, and upon their return, they accidentally discovered the 2 bags of potatoes their mistress had brought. The 2 girls did not suspect that their lady was lying. They were just impressed by their lattice luck. After all, there was no need to deceive them, so Xiao Xian confidently brought out the potatoes in front of Ms. Fang and the others, and they found it to be entirely reasonable. Ms. Fang trusted Xiao Xian's words, just as she did with the cassavas. She carefully stored the potatoes and decided to plant half of them in the yard and the other half in the cassava field. The undeniable evidence of the potatoes' potential came during dinner when Xiao Xian prepared several dishes using potatoes, in addition to her other signature dishes. She served sour and spicy shredded potatoes, braised pork ribs with potatoes, and shredded potato pancakes. Xiao Xian urged Ms. Fang and the others to taste them, eager to showcase the delicious possibilities of this newfound crop. The first section of the Xiao family had always believed in her cooking skills, and they had been waiting for that to happen. When the potato dishes were eaten, they all ignited the taste buds. They were either sour, spicy, crispy, soft, powdery, glutinous, or crispy and delicious. Everyone praised them. The potatoes are so tasty. 5th sister-in-law is right. We are going to plant them well next year. Potatoes can be used to make food and fill the stomach. They are so good. Yes, it is a good thing. Xiao Xian was delighted to see their positive response. She beamed and said, "Indeed, they are easy to plant. We can simply plant them and remove the weeds. We don't need elaborate setups, but we should set aside some for the villagers next year." Ms. Fang agreed, saying, "Absolutely. In times of hardship, having potatoes can be a lifesaver." The potatoes needed to be preserved for seeds, so after the meal, Ms. Fang refrained from using any more and decided to save them for the spring planting season. On the following day, Xiao Xian, accompanied by Yang Xiaoni and Xiao Sanlang, visited the Zhang village. She thoroughly inspected the tea field and the creeping fig field, utilizing her superpower to ensure everything was in good condition. Her satisfaction with the well-behaved tenants and the families they bought put her at ease. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1131. Seeds. Xiao Yunduan understood his wife's intention. They should keep the potato discovery low-key and avoid raising people's expectations too much to avoid potential misunderstandings. They decided to save the harvested potatoes for seeds and only occasionally stir-fried one to satisfy their craving. In reality, Xiao Xian had much more in her space, twice the quantity outside. She began planting them again and planned to bring some back for her family. While visiting the floral fields and orchards, Xiao Xian generously gifted Ms. Fang and others 15 kilograms of potatoes. She explained that they were excellent for planting next year and emphasized their versatility, as they could be used as both a dish and a rice substitute. The simplest cooking methods were roasting in the stove or steaming in a pot. In times of famine, they could be life-saving. Moreover, potatoes were highly durable and could be stored for a long time. However, she cautioned that the storage area should be dry to prevent them from germinating, as green sprouts on potatoes could be poisonous and should not be consumed. Qiao Xian's ability to provide such a substantial quantity of potatoes made her unassuming to Li Xia and Li Qiu, so she wasn't worried about raising suspicions. After spending a day in the dormitory, she casually sent the two girls away, and upon their return, they accidentally discovered the 2 bags of potatoes their mistress had brought. The 2 girls did not suspect that their lady was lying. They were just impressed by their lattice luck. After all, there was no need to deceive them, so Qiao Xian confidently brought out the potatoes in front of Ms. Fong and the others, and they found it to be entirely reasonable. Ms. Fong trusted Qiao Xian's words, just as she did with the cassavas. She carefully stored the potatoes and decided to plant half of them in the yard and the other half in the cassava field. The undeniable evidence of the potatoes' potential came during dinner when Qiao Xian prepared several dishes using potatoes, in addition to her other signature dishes. She served sour and spicy shredded potatoes, braised pork ribs with potatoes, and shredded potato pancakes. Qiao Xian urged Ms. Fong and the others to taste them, eager to showcase the delicious possibilities of this newfound crop. The first section of the family of the Shao family had always believed in her cooking skills, and they had been waiting for that to happen. When the potato dishes were eaten, they all ignited the taste buds. They were either sour, spicy, crispy, soft, powdery, glutinous, or crispy and delicious. Everyone praised them. The potatoes are so tasty. 5th sister-in-law is right. We are going to plant them well next year. Potatoes can be used to make food and fill the stomach. They are so good. Yes, it is a good thing. Qiao Xian was delighted to see their positive response. She beamed and said, "Indeed, they are easy to plant. We can simply plant them and remove the weeds. We don't need elaborate setups, but we should set aside some for the villagers next year." Ms. Fong agreed, saying, "Absolutely. In times of hardship, having potatoes can be a lifesaver." The potatoes needed to be preserved for seeds, so after the meal, Ms. Fong refrained from using any more and decided to save them for the spring planting season. On the following day, Qiao Xian, accompanied by Yang Xiaoni and Shao Sanlang, visited the Zhang village. She thoroughly inspected the tea field and the creeping fig field, utilizing her superpower to ensure everything was in good condition. Her satisfaction with the well-behaved tenants and the families they bought put her at ease. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1133, The Ding Family? When Ms. Zhou faced bullying at her mother-in-law's home, Aunt Zhou never entertained the idea of divorcing her. Instead, she advised Ms. Zhou to endure the situation for at least a dozen years, speaking kindly to 5th Grandma Ding. However, everything changed when Ms. Zhou and Ding Erju severed ties with the Ding family, leading to the tragic death of their granddaughter. This incident was the breaking point for the Zhou family, and they decided to support their daughter and son-in-law, launching a strong retaliation against the Ding family. The once cordial relationship between the two families turned into deep-seated enmity. As time passed, Ms. Zhou's daughter and son-in-law improved their living conditions, but the Ding family still sought to take advantage of them. This further fueled Ms. Zhou's animosity towards the Dings, as she believed they were responsible for her daughter's death. They were no longer considered relatives but bitter enemies, each wanting to harm the other. Fortunately, the villagers from Zhang village stepped in to support Ding Erju and his wife, standing up against the unreasonable actions of the Ding family. They helped them in various ways, including working in the tea fields and creeping fig fields to earn money. Even with the assistance from Shaoding village during busy times, more laborers were still needed due to the expansion of the tea fields and the growing demand for labor in the workshop, which translated to more income. What could the Ding family offer them? Heavens, they left their own son with nothing. The depth of their hatred is unimaginable. How dare you show up at our doorstep with nothing to your name? Your family's actions are despicable. It's no surprise that their actions bring nothing but harm. After all, no one can fathom forcing their own granddaughter to death. You drove your own granddaughter to her death and left your son with nothing. How audacious of you to accuse me of being unfilial. Your cruelty knows no bounds. That's right. Shame on you. Good things happen to good people. Just look at second brother Ding and sister-in-law. They now lead a happy life, and anyone would be inspired by them. True. Fifth Grandma Ding and the others were seething with anger, embarrassment, and annoyance. She glared at Ding Erju, ready to scratch him, and accused him of being unfilial for allowing outsiders to bully his parents. However, before she could get close, someone intervened and stopped her. What do you think you're doing? You think you can assault people in our village? Try it. Fifth Grandma Ding shouted in frustration, "That's my son. I have every right to teach him a lesson, and it's none of your business." An auntie retorted with a smile, "Oh, now he's your son. Weren't you just claiming he was nothing to you when you had nothing to offer him?" The villagers burst into laughter. The Ding family got nothing and were driven away, but they couldn't let it go. They returned to Shaoding village, where fifth Grandma Ding and fifth Grandpa Ding confronted Ms. Fong and eldest uncle, along with their 2 sons and daughters-in-law. Xiao Yunduan, being a respected figure and an officer, kept them from venting their anger. Otherwise, fifth Grandma Ding would have engaged in an argument with Ms. Fong long ago. She struggled to remain reasonable amidst her fury. However, Ms. Fong brushed off her words, pointing out that Ding Erju was driven out of the family with nothing, and the relationship was already broken off. In her opinion, there was nothing to discuss, and the matter could be addressed when Ding Erju and his wife returned. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1134, Block. Fifth Grandma Ding and her family were incredibly frustrated, but they refrained from causing a scene in the Xiao family's first section. Instead, they resorted to intermittent harassment, trying to exert force, but their attempts failed. They cried and pleaded, insisting that they were still family, and their past actions were merely outbursts of anger and should be disregarded. They even suggested that Ding Erju should join forces with his 2 brothers to manage things together, hoping for reconciliation. Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou became increasingly exasperated with these antics. The most absurd part was when fifth Grandma Ding accused Ding Erju of being naive and easily manipulated, claiming that he had been set up and taken advantage of. Fed up with the situation, Ding Erju had no choice but to seek help from the land officer and senior clan members in Shaoding village. Land officers sought Ms. Fang's opinion, but she distanced herself, stating that she had no involvement with them. Land officer then warned fifth Grandpa Ding and fifth Grandma Ding that any further humiliation would not be tolerated. In an era when the power of the clan surpassed that of the law, everyone feared such consequences. Both angry and fearful, fifth Grandpa Ding and his family ceased their actions. Meanwhile, Qiao Xian, who had just returned, was unaware of the situation. During her visit to Zhang village to inspect the properties, Ding Erju carefully chose what to share with her, avoiding any private matters. Satisfied with her visit, Qiao Xian gathered fresh lotus roots, fish, and shrimps and returned to the village. The tea field had expanded to an impressive 600 mu and was flourishing. She anticipated opening another 200 or 300 mu next year, envisioning the scale reaching 1,500 mu, with potential for further expansion in the future. Collecting tea tree seedlings required a trip into the mountains to gather tea seeds. They planned to spend a couple of days in the mountains, and upon their return, Xiao Dalong and others would take care of the seeds. Once the weather became slightly warmer after the new year, they could begin the breeding process. Qiao Xian intended to apply her superpower to the seeds over a range of 500 meters, hoping it would yield positive results. She planned to visit again in the spring. Additionally, they could transplant some tea tree seedlings from the mountains and cultivate tea seeds in the space, which would offer greater convenience in the future. During their journey, Qiao Xian shared the plan to pick tea seeds in the mountains with Yang Xiaoni and the others. However, Yang Xiaoni and Xiao Sanlang expressed hesitation, considering the absence of qi and the potential dangers of venturing into the deep mountains. They felt it was unnecessary for Qiao Xian, as an officer's wife, to take such risks. Qiao Xian was aware that she needed 3 escorts to accompany her for assurance during the trip. The 6 escorts were still residing at the Xiao family's place, and only the Yuezheng family's servants had returned home. Qiao Xian didn't stay home for long, so she didn't make arrangements for them to go to the county city. As a result, they had plenty of free time, mostly tending to their own mounts. Yang Xiaoni and Xiao Sanlang were not afraid of Qiao Xian's expedition and even promised to keep her company. Later that evening, as they returned to the village, they excitedly discussed what to have for dinner, mentioning dishes like lotus root stewed with bones, sweet and sour pig trotters, and mountain mushrooms stewed with chicken soup. Suddenly, their enthusiasm dimmed when they noticed 5th Grandma Ding intercepting the wagon with her daughters-in-law. Yang Xiaoni and Tao Tao's expressions changed, and Qiao Xian's eyes sparkled, as if she had anticipated something. With Ding Erju being the only link she could think of, she couldn't imagine any other reason why 5th Grandma Ding and her family would seek her out. As they were almost home, Qiao Xian alighted from the wagon, wearing a smile, and asked, "Are you here to talk about Uncle Erju and Aunt Zhou? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1135. No response? 5th Grandma Ding was startled. She nodded with a smile. Yes, Mrs. Xiao, my unfilial son. Didn't you drive them out of the family with nothing given to them? 5th Grandma Ding was startled. Yang Xiaoni responded with disdain, Exactly. She's living a good life now, and you think you can just take her back? It's not that simple, Aunt. Spare us your words. Your family has caused so much trouble, and you're still bothering Grandpa Land Officer? Our 5th sister-in-law knows the whole story, and your words won't make any difference. 5th Grandma Ding became furious, wanting to scold Yang Xiaoni, but she held back and forced a smile. 5th Mrs. Xiao, it didn't start this way. They were just angry words that were taken seriously. I thought they'd come back after venting their anger and staying away for a few days, but it turned out like this. I love my granddaughter too. She got so angry that she killed someone. It's not like I feel good about it. How can you blame me? I'm heartbroken. 5th Mrs. Xiao, you're a reasonable person. You should be the judge. Erju and his wife have gone too far. Qiao Xian smiled in response. Whether I said those words out of anger or not doesn't matter. What matters is that Ding Xiang is still alive. But without you, things wouldn't have ended up like this. You've had a good life these past 2 years, yet you never reached out to them. But Yang Xiaoni sneered. Now that Erju and the others are being paid, things have changed. 5th Grandma Ding and her daughter-in-laws grew infuriated, their faces turning red, but they dared not confront her. The eldest daughter-in-law of the Ding family attempted to flatter Qiao Xian with a smile. 5th Mrs. Xiao, my husband is capable and intelligent. Why not let him take charge of Zhang village? He'd do a much better job than Erju Pipe. No one would dare to slack off, and he can handle everything for you. The 3rd daughter-in-law chimed in, and my husband is very understanding, even more so than Erju. He can handle any situation. 5th Grandma Ding turned to Qiao Xian expectantly. Yes, our sons may not be as clever as our brothers, and our brothers may not be as clever as our sons. But if we let our sons take over, it would be a vast improvement over their current leadership. We wouldn't even ask for much payment, just 1 tael of silver per month. The 2 daughter-in-laws nodded eagerly, saying, Yes, we aren't as greedy as those other people. The whole family seemed to agree that even 1 liang would suffice. They believed that being in charge of such a large tea field and numerous fertile lands, along with the ample money they possess, should be more than enough for them. With hundreds of mu of fertile fields and abundant harvests, they had enough rations to sustain themselves for a year. Moreover, There were plentiful fruit trees laden with fruits and a vast pond brimming with fish, shrimp, and lotus roots, providing them with a variety of food options. On top of that, they could discreetly sell some tea leaves for additional income. The potential for making money was undeniable. Shaoyunduan and Xiaoxian were far from the capital, and Shaoding village was not located nearby either. However, with intelligence and resourcefulness, there was a great opportunity to accumulate wealth. Xiaoxian smiled with a hint of amusement and asked, "So, you wish to take on this responsibility, regardless of whether you accept Brother Erju or not?" The two daughter-in-laws glanced at their mother-in-law but remained silent. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1136. No Trouble. Hearing the suggestion, fifth Grandma Ding found it appealing. She clenched her teeth and said, "My second son is heartless. Since he doesn't want us anymore, there's no point in trying to bring him back. It doesn't matter if we find him or not." Yang Xiaoni sneered, feeling a mix of bitterness and anger in her heart. She understood this situation all too well. Her brother and sister-in-law were just like fifth Grandma Ding. Xiao Sanlang comfortingly squeezed her hand. Startled, Taotao couldn't comprehend how a mother could be so heartless. Xiao Xian spoke calmly, "You seem to be misunderstanding something. Why would I need to hire someone from your family specifically instead of others?" Fifth Grandma Ding and her daughter-in-law were taken aback. "It's my business whom I hire. It has nothing to do with your family. You can go home now and drop this topic." Fifth Grandma Ding was about to say something when Yang Xiaoni stepped forward to defend Xiao Xian, pushing her family away. Fifth Grandma Ding glared at their retreating figures and returned home, feeling defeated. Xiao Xian felt a sense of satisfaction. They deserved it. During the time she helped Ding Erza's family, she had suppressed her anger, hoping for an opportunity to put fifth Grandma Ding's family in their place. However, she couldn't reveal her plans earlier, as it might complicate matters. But the situation had changed now. They couldn't afford to cause any trouble. Xiao Xian refused to believe that Ding Xiang was dead. In her heart, she held on to the belief that Ding Xiang might be toiling away somewhere, working hard. As long as she was alive, there would come a day when she returned. What was the point of not coming back for revenge once she became successful? When that day arrived, fifth Grandpa Ding and his family would be in deep trouble. They couldn't bear it anymore? Well, they had a long way to go. Back at home, Miss Fong overheard Taotao's account of the situation, how fifth Grandma Ding and her two daughter-in-laws tried to stop Xiao Xian. She grew agitated and expressed her disgust, saying, "Just ignore them. They are a horrible family and have been causing trouble for far too long." Ding Erju had no choice but to seek help from the land officer and the senior members of the village. And now they're back at it again. Xiao Xian smiled and replied, "They don't need me, and I couldn't care less about them either." Ms. Fong chuckled and agreed, "Very true." Eldest uncle couldn't resist adding, "They claim to leave Ding Erju with nothing, but he is still the Ding family's son. It's not good for their reputation to be so heartless. You and fifth brother could try to mend things, say a few good words, and let bygones be bygones. After all, they are biological children." Xiao Xian rolled her eyes and chose not to respond. She had already composed herself, knowing that her father-in-law had a habit of being meddlesome, and it was best to ignore his comments. There was no point in arguing because it wouldn't change anything, and she couldn't agree with him. Thankfully, her mother-in-law would handle him. True to form, Miss Fong sneered, "Heartless? You caused your own granddaughter's death, and you drove your own son out of the family with nothing. That's what I call heartless. How could you expect to be forgiven? Stop being so repulsive." Eldest uncle found himself at a loss for words. He was about to defend himself, but Ms. Fong and Xiao Xian walked away. "Pay no attention to the old man. He's been acting out of line for a long time." Ms. Fong continued, "You may not know this, but when news spread about the valuable fields and tea plantations in Zhang village, the third section of the family made a big fuss. What a joke! They even wanted a share of it, and the second section of the family joined in as well. But when they realized there was no share for them, they decided to become managers. No one dares to appoint them, of course. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1137, Primus? Xiao Xian found herself just as puzzled as Ms. Fong about the situation. After asking a few questions, she finally learned what was happening. Ms. Fong then smiled and shared her mixed feelings. I am angry, but I am also glad to see that they are so jealous and envious of us. Her daughter-in-law, Xiao Xian, chuckled and replied with a smile, It's quite satisfying to think about, isn't it? Right. The mother and daughter-in-law laughed. Ms. Fong sighed with a smile. Fortunately, the second section of the family has no connection with us, and Erlang and Silang have their own daughter-in-law. Before we can do anything, they stopped Ms. Niu and her husband. Without helpers, the third section of the family can't do anything. But let me tell you, Ms. Fong lowered her voice and said seriously, why do I feel that Lu Lang is behaving strangely? He has a dark look in his eyes, and he looks so scary when he looks at people, as if we have a deep grudge against him. He wasn't like this before. I don't think we have done anything bad to his family. How did he end up like this? Xiao Xian was confused too. She thought for a while and smiled. Mom, just leave him alone. He can't do anything to us. We don't need to beg him. He can hate us if he wants to. Don't tell me that my husband is displeased because he became the Primus? That is possible. Ms. Fong suddenly understood what was going on. She waved her hands and said disdainfully, He is just jealous. He can't tolerate anyone else being better than him, otherwise he would get so annoyed. You are right, let's just ignore him. Xiao Xian nodded with a smile. She was not as assured as mother-in-law. Xiao Lulang might be up to something. But he was just a cultivated talent and he could not do anything. She just needed to watch out for him. Mother-in-law and Sanlang had always been afraid of him, and it would not be easy for him to set them up. By the time he became a recommended man and advanced scholar, her husband would have reached a very high level. Xiao Xian did not believe that Xiao Lulang was better than her husband. Early the following morning, Xiao Xian, Xiao Sanlang, Xiao Delong, Yang Xiaoni, and Tao Tao went into the mountains with 3 escorts. That was enough. They all remembered the way to pick the tea seeds. They went straight to the destination after entering the mountains. It was the season when there were the most wild fruits and wild mountain mushrooms in the mountains. Wild fruits were no longer attractive to families. After all, there were many fruit trees in the garden at the back of the yard, and the fruits were large and sweet, and they could not be finished. But wild mountain mushrooms were still very attractive. All kinds of mushrooms in autumn were fresh and fat. When picked, they could be fried, made into soup, stir-fried with pork and chicken, stewed, or made into dumplings and steamed buns. They were all very fresh. But the tea seeds were more important, so they had to turn a blind eye to it. With the help of 3 escorts, the 2-day work was done in 1 day. Everyone had a lot of harvest and carried a few large bags of tea seeds home. Xiao Xian took the chance and put some advanced seedlings into the space, as well as some tea seeds. The space was growing fast, and she did not need to pick the tea leaves. She was going to keep them to bloom and bear fruits, and then take out the tea seeds to breed and expand. Tea was popular in the state, and good tea leaves could be sold out very easily. Thousands of mu would not be too much. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1139, Unwillingness. Ms. Ma was so motivated that she could not help but complain to her son, Xiao Lulang. Lulang, you have to work hard. If you become the recommended man's Primus, you can marry a better daughter-in-law than Xiao Xian and earn more money than Xiao Yinduan. We can buy many fields and open a tea field too. I believe they are no better than us. What are you showing off for? Who cares? Xiao Lulang's face sank. He was invited to the first section of the family's dinner too, but he turned that down, stating that he was going to study. Xiao Lulang threw a cold look at his mother. It is still too early to tell what will happen in the future. Don't make a fuss at the first section of the family, what's the point? You know clearly what they are like. Then he left without waiting for her to say anything more. Ms. Ma was startled. She mumbled, "How can this child have such a bad temper? The first section of the family is so cruel, and he doesn't even let me say something." 2 days later, Qiao Xian checked through all the properties, and she was heading back to the capital the following day. The whole family was very reluctant to see her leave. Tao Tao was especially saddened. She wished that she could go into the capital with fifth sister-in-law, but she knew that was unrealistic. The girl wished fifth sister-in-law a safe trip and asked her when she was coming home. Hearing that she was coming back in the spring, she became very happy again. Ms. Feng asked Qiao Xian if she and Xiao Yunduan were doing well. "We don't have any concubines or sleepover maids. In my opinion, no matter how rich we are or how high-ranking we are, we should have a proper daughter-in-law and give birth to a few children. As a mother, I am always thinking about my own children. Children having the same father and different mothers always end up fighting each other. Yunduan is a good child, but he is now an officer and in a place like the capital. I can't guarantee anything in the future, even if I am his mother. But let me tell him one thing, I don't want him to get concubines or mistresses. You are his wife, but you can't do anything about it. Don't let him do anything stupid, or I will never forgive him." Qiao Xian smiled brightly when she heard what her mother-in-law said. "Thanks to Mom, I have a good reason to be in charge of this. But don't worry, Mom, my husband just wants to be a good officer, and he doesn't care about that. He doesn't want this to happen, just like you." Ms. Fong smiled and nodded. That is good, that is good. Anyway, you need to worry about him outside. He doesn't have the intention to do so, and that doesn't mean that no one else does either. Don't be careless." Ms. Fong sneered. "You won't believe it." The concubine of the Ding family, Widow Sun, has a daughter called Ding Qingqing. Do you remember that? Do you know who they are after? Your elder brother. They are trying to set him up. Luckily, I saw through it. Otherwise, your elder brother would have one more concubine by the time you came home. What? Xiao Xian's eyes widened. She just could not believe it. Ms. Fong couldn't help but laugh seeing her reaction. That is not strange. They are trying to set up Sanlang, but everyone in the village knows that Sanlang and Ms. Yang are in a good relationship, and Sanlang is smart too. He is not that easy to fool. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1141. Coincidence? It was because of this habit that they were lucky enough to avoid this disaster. Or if Ding Qingqing had really sneaked in, no matter what happened, it would be very difficult to explain. Ms. Chiu and Ms. Hao from the Ding family would definitely put pressure on them, and even the Ding family elders would show up. They could not afford to have a closer relationship with the first section of the Xiao family. Why not just give them a push? But when Xiao Dalong closed the door, Ding Qingqing couldn't even climb over the wall while Widow Sun was holding her daughter. The mother and daughter were both angry and anxious, but there was nothing they could do. Widow Sun knew that opportunities like this were rare, and she wasn't sure when the next one would come. She gritted her teeth and decided to let Ding Qingqing wait there while she went back to the village to fetch a ladder. But the moment she asked Ding Qingqing to hide well, she looked up and met Ms. Fang's eyes, who was holding her grandson. Widow Sun, with a guilty conscience, got so frightened that her face changed. She patted her chest. Ms. Fang was here at the right time. She suddenly remembered that 2 pumpkins were ripe in the field 500 meters away from the village. Xiao Qing had seen someone eating pumpkin rice, and she had to eat it even though she was wheedling. Ms. Fang always cared about her grandchildren, and pumpkin rice was not a rare thing. If her granddaughter wanted to eat it, she had to satisfy her. So she thought of the pumpkins and came here with her grandson, intending to tell Xiao Dalong to fetch the pumpkin from the field. Unexpectedly, Widow Sun popped out from the other side of the wall. Ms. Fang looked at her suspiciously. What are you doing here? There was no one in the wild land around them, except for the snow fungus shed around their yard wall. No one would come here. Ms. Fong knew that Widow Sun was not a good person, but she did not think that she was trying to steal her snow fungus. That was so bold. There were no secrets in the village. Did she think that she could hide it from others? Widow Sun felt guilty. She straightened her back subconsciously and said in an intermediate tone, "What? Is this your territory too? Why can't I be here?" Ms. Fong snorted and said nothing more. Widow Sun forced herself to walk away calmly, but she was complaining inwardly. Ms. Fong might not have noticed her daughter, Ding Qingqing, at first. She knocked on the door and told Shaoding about getting the pumpkin. Shaoding checked the snow fungus and nodded. Then he locked the door and went to pick the pumpkins. Ms. Fong had just finished peeing her 1-year-old grandson and was about to carry him home when Ding Qingqing, who had been so nervous, couldn't stand it anymore. She stuck her head out from behind the wall to see what was going on. Ms. Fong saw what she was doing. She soon realized what was going on, but Ms. Fong had already figured it out. It was not going to work if someone was sneaking around the shed. Ms. Fong shouted, "Who is there?" She ran towards them with her grandson in her arms. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1142, Argument? Ding Qingqing got so frightened that she ran away. She was so shocked. If she ran into the wild, Ms. Fong might not be able to catch up with her grandson in arms. Also, Ms. Fong would not be able to see her if she hid behind any thick shrubs. But she ran into the village. Ms. Fong had to rush up and catch her. Ms. Fong could not tell who she was, but she was definitely going after her. She shouted as she ran, "Stop! Stop right there!" Ding Qingqing was very young, and Ms. Fong was very fierce. So when Ms. Fong shouted at her, she got so frightened that she could not run anymore. Ms. Fong caught up with her as soon as she reached the entrance of the village. Ms. Fong grabbed her clothes with one hand and put her grandson on the ground with the other, tugging at Ding Qingqing. "It is you. What are you doing outside our shed? What are you and your mother doing there?" Ding Qingqing turned around guiltily, avoiding her eyes. She sobbed, "I didn't." "How dare you defend yourself?" Ms. Fong sneered. "I caught you red-handed, and you are lying? If you are not guilty, why are you running away? I am not going to eat you up." The two of them tugged at each other, and soon the villagers gathered around to watch the show. Widow Sun soon arrived as well. She would have dared to counter Ms. Fong in the past, but not now. Everyone in the village trusted Ms. Fong. She and Widow Sun could not deny that, so Widow Sun had to admit that she just wanted to steal some snow fungus. She was a thief. The onlookers all looked down at them and pointed at them. Ding Qingqing flushed in embarrassment as tears welled up in her eyes. She lowered her head and wished that she could dig a hole. Widow Sun also lowered her head and did not dare to lie. She knew that she would be despised by the villagers, and Miss Chiu and the Ding family would beat and scold her when she returned home. She might not even get to eat dinner tonight. But what else could she do? The mother and daughter could not have appeared at that place for some nonchalant, casual, or indifferent visit. They had to have a convincing reason, right? That was the only thing she could say. That was the only way to get Ms. Fong away. Stimulated by this, Widow Sun made up her mind to get what she wanted. As long as her daughter was with Shaoding, Shaoding would be an honest man, and Miss Su would not be as annoying as Yang Xiaoni. Also, Miss Su had 2 sons and 1 daughter, and she was not afraid of being threatened by her own daughter. Her daughter should not be bullied anymore. She needed to suck up to Ms. Su, so she could make it. That was better than Ms. Chiu and Ms. Hao from the Ding family selling themselves out. Ms. Fong snapped at Widow Sun when she admitted that. But she did not cause any damage, so Ms. Fong gave her a warning. That was exactly what Widow Sun had expected. She let out a sigh of relief. But when Ms. Yen heard about this, she came to Ms. Fong the following day and told her about some suspicious things. Stealing snow fungus was not a very honorable thing, especially when the first section of the family was flourishing, and no one in the village would steal from them. Widow Sun was already living such a miserable life, so why did she take such a risk? If she was caught, her life would become even worse. Ms. Chiu and the Ding family might not have explicitly asked her to steal it. If their involvement was exposed, they would be blamed by the first section of the family. So what were they after? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1143. No coincidence. The Ding family's Hao and Ms. Chiu had rushed to apologize on behalf of Widow's Sun the day before. Also, the wall surrounding the snow fungus shed was quite high. If Widow's Sun planned to steal the snow fungus, she should have brought a ladder with her, right? What was most suspicious was that Widow's Sun could have gone there alone, but instead, she brought her own daughter with her. Ding Qingqing had not even gotten married yet, so why involve her in such a risky act? If they were found out, Ding Qingqing's reputation and future prospects could be ruined. Ms. Fong suddenly realized what might be going on. Yes, something was definitely not right. Widow's Sun treated her daughter very well, and there seemed to be no reason for her to involve Ding Qingqing in stealing from the first section of the family, especially when Widow's Sun did not hold high position in the village. Ms. Fong thanked Ms. Yen for her vigilance but still couldn't fully grasp the motive behind Widow's Sun's actions. Then Ms. Fong overheard Yang Xiaoni talking with her son about not having a change of heart and not taking concubines when they were rich. Suddenly, a thought struck her. Wasn't her eldest son in the snow fungus shed earlier? What a coincidence! Could it be that they were targeting her eldest son? Ms. Fang's suspicion grew, and she couldn't afford to ignore it. She decided to remain vigilant and not let her guard down until she knew the truth. To investigate further, she asked Xiao Dalong to collect soybeans in the field alone and secretly followed Yang Xiaoni and Ding Qingqing. Sure enough, she caught the mother and daughter red-handed again. Ms. Fong didn't hold back and confronted them directly at the Ding family's home. She demanded an explanation for their suspicious behavior and questioned why they seemed to appear wherever her son was. She was determined to get to the bottom of this matter and find out their true intentions. The Ding family's Ms. Chiu and Ms. Hao understood Ms. Fang's implied threat very well. They kicked Widow's Sun to the ground and berated her as shameless. Widow's Sun, feeling a mix of anger, embarrassment, and shame, covered her face and cried loudly. She accused Ms. Chiu and the Ding family of selling her daughter, claiming that she was forced into this situation. In a desperate attempt to shift the blame, she even tried to accuse Ms. Fong of setting her up, saying that Xiao Dalong mistreated her daughter. However, this tactic fell flat. If Xiao Dalong needed a concubine and what he only needed to do was to spread the news that the first section of the family was very popular and many people would come to him for concubines. Or they could just spend money to buy them, and any heaven immortal beauties could be bought. They did not want Ding Qingqing to do such a thing in private. Even if she did, Widow's Sun and the Ding family would not say that they did not like it. No one would believe Widow's Sun's words. They would be laughed at. Ms. Chiu remained unyielding in the face of the onlooker's gaze. She firmly slapped Widow's Sun's complaints and continued to sneer, "You are just a concubine, and no respectable family would want you. What are you talking about? Finding a concubine for your daughter is flattering. Don't like it? If you don't like that, you can find your own mother-in-law's family." Widow's Sun felt helpless and could not find any words to defend herself. She covered her face, overwhelmed with shame and sorrow, and tears streamed down her cheeks. As a widow and concubine, she realized she had used a humiliating method to achieve her goal, and it only made her situation worse. She knew deep down that she had little to offer in terms of status or dowries, making it incredibly challenging to find a good family willing to accept her daughter as a concubine. Widow's Sun's heart sank with the realization that she had nothing to offer, and her desperate actions had only brought her further disgrace. The villagers who witnessed the scene couldn't help but feel a mix of sympathy and disapproval towards Ms. Chiu's harsh words. While they understood the struggles Widow's Sun faced, they also recognized the truth in Ms. Chiu's assertions. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1144. Out of sight. The daughter of a concubine faced a daunting challenge due to her mother's unfavorable reputation. Finding a good family for her seemed like an improbable task. Although not Ms. Chiu's biological child, Ding Qingqing was brought into the Ding family by widow Sun, who had previously offended her. Ms. Chiu was the stepdaughter of the Ding family, and she played a crucial role in determining Ding Qingqing's marriage. No one dared to question or oppose this arrangement. Ms. Chiu harbored strong resentment towards Ding Qingqing and her mother-in-law for their unruly behavior, which caused significant trouble for the entire family. Frustrated and unwilling to keep Ding Qingqing any longer, Ms. Chiu sought a solution through her in-laws' family and soon got married herself. Ms. Fang was well aware of the limited prospects for women born into concubinage and, despite her disdain for Ding Qingqing and her mother, she felt a karmic connection to her own family. Selling Ding Qingqing off would reflect poorly on her reputation, so she couldn't simply stand by and watch. To avoid any association with such actions, Ms. Chiu chose not to treat Ding Qingqing as a concubine but rather married her off to a distant, less fortunate man. She remained hidden from their sight, and whatever their future held would have no direct connection with her. After Ding Qingqing's departure, widow Sun lost all hope and refrained from causing any further trouble. The senior members of the clan cautioned Ms. Chiu not to go too far, as any unfortunate event leading to a tarnished reputation could jeopardize the entire village's standing, especially with the progress made through Mr. Primus' efforts and the establishment of the school. The village had a Mr. Primus, and the school was built, and classes were starting. Everything was developing in a good direction, so reputation was very important. Ms. Chiu's treatment of widow Sun was widely known, as she would boast about it openly, and some considered it excessive. It was evident that even a person as seemingly insensible as a clay figure might harbor resentment and retaliate if pushed to the extreme. Before becoming a concubine, widow Sun was not an easy person to handle, and it was expected that she wouldn't remain in such a state indefinitely. Ms. Chiu was not convinced, but she did not dare to do that anymore and tried to restrain herself. But widow Sun was still not having a good life. As long as Ms. Chiu did not cause too much trouble, the clan would turn a blind eye. Their family's bad debts could be settled behind closed doors. Ms. Fang informed Xiao Xian about the situation, reminding her to be cautious and not let Xiao Yinduan fall into a trap. Xiao Xian acknowledged Ms. Fang's advice and realized the gravity of the situation. She had already been concerned, but now she understood that she needed to be even more vigilant in the future. The capital was not a peaceful place, and the risks were high. The next morning, Xiao Xian and her companions departed. Ms. Fang and the others reached the village's entrance without arousing anyone's suspicion. Xiao Xian waved at them from a distance, and as the wagon turned the corner, she sighed inwardly, knowing the risks that lay ahead. Upon reaching the county city, Xiao Xian sent a gift to the county magistrate's wife, explaining that she couldn't visit due to time constraints and had to head directly to the province. She understood that the county magistrate had family responsibilities to attend to, and that was their priority. As a woman herself, she empathized with the county magistrate and his wife, comprehending why they couldn't pay her a visit given their obligations and circumstances. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1145. Friendly. If Xiao Yinduan were also present, they would need to extend an invitation to him for the banquet as well. The county magistrate would likely be displeased if he were excluded, even if he didn't voice it. They might fear that not inviting him could lead to unfavorable consequences in the future, perhaps with the Xiao family using this omission against them when they required assistance. As the evening approached early in the season, Xiao Xian and the others arrived in the province, and it was already dark. They made their way directly to the Yuezheng family. The entrance of the Yuezheng family was adorned with 2 rows of large lanterns, brightly illuminating the gate. Auntie Hua, accompanied by two maids, was standing next to First Madam, gazing into the distance. As she spotted the approaching wagon, she greeted them with a warm smile. "Fifth Mrs. Shao, how much our madam has missed you. The evenings are growing colder, how was your journey?" Auntie Hua asked as she helped Qiao Xian down from the wagon. Qiao Xian replied with a smile, sensing Auntie Hua's concern. "Thank you for your kind words, elder aunt. The journey was smooth, and I wouldn't dare to keep you waiting. Your thoughtfulness is truly appreciated." Auntie Hua smiled and humbly responded, "First Madam was eager for your arrival, so she sent me to greet you. I am not worthy of such a task. Please, come inside. First Madam has already prepared dinner and eagerly awaits your company." Qiao Xian laughed cheerfully. As the sun sets, the cold becomes biting. The thought of the warm food prepared by Elder Aunt is truly heartening and invigorating. Auntie Hua chuckled in response. "That's exactly what First Madam said. On such days, we should relish a good meal and warm soup. Everything is ready for you." As they strolled together, Auntie Hua found herself growing fonder of Qiao Xian with every passing moment. Coming from humble beginnings, both Auntie Hua and Xiao Yunduan had not been born into prosperous families, which compelled her to be respectful and courteous towards Qiao Xian. However, she couldn't help but notice that Qiao Xian's demeanor hadn't changed despite her husband's impressive position as a young and learned officer with a promising future. Such humility was a rare sight, as Auntie Hua had observed many people becoming arrogant after achieving success. Upon Qiao Xian's arrival, First Madam eagerly awaited her with a warm smile. They exchanged friendly conversation, with First Madam showing genuine concern for Qiao Xian's well-being. She offered her a hot towel to freshen up and served her some hot tea to ward off the evening chill. Their interactions resembled that of a mother and daughter, displaying a deep bond and understanding between them. After a brief rest, First Madam signaled for the dishes to be served, and they sat down together to enjoy the meal. At First Madam's spot, a bowl of rice was placed, while a delightful spread of 6 dishes and 1 soup adorned the small mahogany rui-style round table. The dishes included crab powder, lukewarm kidney flour meatballs, sweet and sour spine meat, braised mutton, casserole tofu fish head, and bamboo fungus black chicken soup. Though common dishes for the Yuezheng family, they were prepared with great care, served in white bowls and plates, steaming hot, enticingly colorful, and perfectly suited to satisfy both stomach and soul. After dinner, they retreated to the small hall to sip tea and aid their digestion while engaging in light conversation. Qiao Xian took the opportunity to update First Madam on the happenings back at her own home. Despite not possessing the same level of refinement as First Madam, Qiao Xian found comfort in confiding in her, knowing that she could seek counsel and wisdom if any problems arose. As she shared the news, Qiao Xian couldn't help but feel a surge of emotions upon recounting how her honest and straightforward elder brother had been deceived and set up. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1145, Friendly? If Xiao Yunduan were also present, they would need to extend an invitation to him for the banquet as well. The county magistrate would likely be displeased if he were excluded, even if he didn't voice it. They might fear that not inviting him could lead to unfavorable consequences in the future, perhaps with the Xiao family using this omission against them when they required assistance. As the evening approached early in the season, Qiao Xian and the others arrived in the province, and it was already dark. They made their way directly to the Yuezheng family. The entrance of the Yuezheng family was adorned with 2 rows of large lanterns, brightly illuminating the gate. Auntie Hua, accompanied by 2 maids, was standing next to First Madam, gazing into the distance. As she spotted the approaching wagon, she greeted them with a warm smile. "Fifth Mrs. Shao, how much our madam has missed you. The evenings are growing colder, how was your journey?" Auntie Hua asked as she helped Qiao Xian down from the wagon. Qiao Xian replied with a smile, sensing Auntie Hua's concern. "Thank you for your kind words, elder aunt. The journey was smooth, and I wouldn't dare to keep you waiting. Your thoughtfulness is truly appreciated." Auntie Hua smiled and humbly responded, "First Madam was eager for your arrival, so she sent me to greet you. I am not worthy of such a task. Please, come inside. First Madam has already prepared dinner and eagerly awaits your company." Qiao Xian laughed cheerfully. As the sun sets, the cold becomes biting. The thought of the warm food prepared by Elder Aunt is truly heartening and invigorating. Auntie Hua chuckled in response. "That's exactly what First Madam said. On such days, we should relish a good meal and warm soup. Everything is ready for you." As they strolled together, Auntie Hua found herself growing fonder of Qiao Xian with every passing moment. Coming from humble beginnings, both Auntie Hua and Xiao Yinduan had not been born into prosperous families, which compelled her to be respectful and courteous towards Qiao Xian. However, she couldn't help but notice that Qiao Xian's demeanor hadn't changed despite her husband's impressive position as a young and learned officer with a promising future. Such humility was a rare sight, as Auntie Hua had observed many people becoming arrogant after achieving success. Upon Qiao Xian's arrival, First Madam eagerly awaited her with a warm smile. They exchanged friendly conversation, with First Madam showing genuine concern for Qiao Xian's well-being. She offered her a hot towel to freshen up and served her some hot tea to ward off the evening chill. Their interactions resembled that of a mother and daughter, displaying a deep bond and understanding between them. After a brief rest, First Madam signaled for the dishes to be served, and they sat down together to enjoy the meal. At First Madam's spot, a bowl of rice was placed, while a delightful spread of 6 dishes and 1 soup adorned the small mahogany rui-style round table. The dishes included crab powder, lukewarm kidney flour meatballs, sweet and sour spine meat, braised mutton, casserole tofu fish head, and bamboo fungus black chicken soup. Though common dishes for the Yuezheng family, they were prepared with great care, served in white bowls and plates, steaming hot, enticingly colorful, and perfectly suited to satisfy both stomach and soul. After dinner, they retreated to the small hall to sip tea and aid their digestion while engaging in light conversation. Qiao Xian took the opportunity to update First Madam on the happenings back at her own home. Despite not possessing the same level of refinement as First Madam, Qiao Xian found comfort in confiding in her, knowing that she could seek counsel and wisdom if any problems arose. As she shared the news, Qiao Xian couldn't help but feel a surge of emotions upon recounting how her honest and straightforward elder brother had been deceived and set up. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1147. Seeking Fruit Forest Outside the City. Honestly speaking, those who run businesses are often more experienced and savvy compared to those from the countryside. Your mother-in-law is an exceptionally capable person, but I worry that she could be manipulated if someone with ulterior motives sets her up. It might be best if she doesn't involve herself in business decisions at all. Even if someone tries to plot against her, they won't succeed. Qiao Xian nodded in agreement, acknowledging that not all business families were as forthright as Yuezheng Shao. The truth had been exposed, and the secrets couldn't remain hidden for long. Both she and Xiao Yinduan were absent, which could lead people to speculate and harbor sinister thoughts. After all, money had the power to corrupt people's intentions. When large sums of money were at stake, nobody would dare to take risks lightly. It could be tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of liang. Amused, Qiao Xian recalled Ms. Fang's character. Actually, my mother-in-law is quite different. She pays no heed to what others say and insists on waiting for me and my husband to come home and make decisions. First Madam smiled approvingly. Your mother-in-law is very wise. It was always better to avoid meddling in matters one didn't fully comprehend. They chatted for a while, and Qiao Xian asked First Madam to bring a dozen servants to their home, to which First Madam agreed. Then, with a smile, Qiao Xian mentioned her intention to visit the Shao family and invite Ms. Fang and Tao Tao to the province for a visit. She wanted to get to know the Shao family better. Qiao Xian felt even more grateful, but the thought of Tao Tao's marriage made her hesitate, preventing her from seeking further help from First Madam. That was not very appropriate. First Madam's social circle primarily consisted of business people, and it might not be the most suitable environment for Tao Tao. Perhaps it would be best to wait and observe. If Tao Tao started going out more often and gaining more exposure, the right opportunity might come naturally. As the day drew to a close, Qiao Xian and First Madam bid farewell to each other and retired to their respective guest rooms for some rest. The next morning, Qiao Xian wrote a letter and requested First Madam to deliver it to her home. Yue Jingshao arrived after breakfast. She had intended to meet Qiao Xian the previous day, but the timing didn't work out. Yue Jingshao had several business deals to discuss with Qiao Xian, and their discussions lasted for half a day. Afterward, she handed over the payment for the tea leaves, lipsticks, and snow fungus, amounting to more than 90,000 liang. The tea leaf production had increased significantly, and the lipsticks had seen a substantial rise in demand. Additionally, the snow fungus and dessert shops continued to perform well, resulting in substantial earnings. In total, Qiao Xian now had almost 450,000 liang. Indeed, the Yuezheng family had a strong network and efficient channels, all of which were top-notch. With control over the sources and low labor costs, the money came in effortlessly, leaving Qiao Xian worry-free. If she had been managing the business herself, she would have undoubtedly faced numerous challenges and headaches. Luckily, she had the good fortune of partnering with the Yuezheng family, which made all the difference. In the afternoon, Qiao Xian couldn't contain her excitement and decided to visit the orchard. Accompanied by Yue Jingshao, she set out, but Xie Jingrong was currently away on a trip. Manager Zhou, Manager Bai, and a few waiters seemed to have been informed in advance and were waiting for her arrival, wearing welcoming smiles. The citrus and grapefruit were now ripe for picking. Qiao Xian had already tasted them both at her home in Shaoding village and at the Yuezheng family's estate the previous day. The fruits were incredibly juicy and sweet. Yue Jingshao mentioned that these two fruits were used to make fruit tea, which had become immensely popular. The dessert stores also sold fresh citrus and grapefruit, attracting a large number of customers. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1149. Trouble. She was excited about the prospect of having her own potato field next year. Considering her precious potatoes, Qiao Xian generously gifted 10 kilograms of high-quality potato seeds to the Yuezheng family, assuring Yue Jingshao that they would yield delicious vegetables and rice. She emphasized that the seeds were advanced in production and easy to cultivate, ensuring a successful harvest regardless of the land they were planted on. Yue Jingshao truly understood her intentions. She always sought out the best things. Confident in her recommendation, Yue Jingshao felt as though he had stumbled upon a precious treasure. He consulted the experienced old gardener, seeking advice on the proper care and cultivation of potatoes. Determined to make the most of this opportunity, he planned to choose a suitable plot of land next year, plant the seeds diligently, and ensure proper care to maximize the harvest. After spending a couple of days in the province and visiting the Xie family, Qiao Xian returned to the capital without mentioning anything about He Jiqing. She chose to keep it private, knowing that she and the Xie family were not particularly close. If Xie Jingrong were present, she would have shared the information without hesitation, as she wouldn't tolerate any disrespect from He Jiqing. Determined to discuss this matter with Xie Jingrong in person, Qiao Xian still looked forward to their reunion. She and her husband had been away for quite some time, and she couldn't wait to return to Tianjin and complete the mission successfully. Qiao Xian expressed her appreciation for the productive and pleasant business trip, but she knew it was time for them to head home. With the year drawing to a close, everyone was eager to reunite with their families. The 6 escorts were remarkably vigilant and proactive throughout the journey. Thanks to Qiao Xian's guidance, they skillfully avoided encountering 2 rainy spells, ensuring an exceptionally smooth trip. As the days progressed, the weather grew colder, with early mornings being particularly chilly, but the daytime remained pleasant. Finally, on the 20th of November, they arrived in Tianjin. Qiao Xian paid the guards for their services and bid them farewell. Li Qiu and Li Xia, however, still felt a bit concerned. They requested Qiao Xian to arrange for the escorts to accompany them on their journey to the capital, as it was a considerable distance from Tianjin and would take a whole day. Their primary concern was the safety of their madam. Qiao Xian, with a reassuring smile, declined their request firmly. She pointed out that the journey to the capital was only a day's travel, and Tianjin was, in fact, considered a faraway suburb of the capital. The official road was well-traveled, broad, and flat, with a constant flow of people coming and going. Therefore, she believed there was no cause for worry regarding safety. Qiao Xian had her own matters to attend to and couldn't have the escort agency accompany her. Qiao Xian, well accustomed to traveling and possessing extensive knowledge, understood the crucial traits of reliable escorts. Besides their martial prowess, they needed to be cautious and alert. With the escorts accompanying her, Qiao Xian refrained from taking any action that might draw attention or suspicion. She felt like a ticking time bomb, always on the verge of being discovered. Noticing their wife's confidence and composure, Li Qiu and Li Xia felt somewhat reassured and decided to abandon the idea of having additional escorts accompany them. After spending one night in Tianjin, the group hired a wagon and continued their journey northward. When they were approximately 20 or 30 kilometers away from the capital, Qiao Xian suggested taking a break at a nearby tea house. Seizing the opportunity, Qiao Xian used the pretext of loosening her muscles and bones to venture into the woods. There, she expanded her divine sense, precisely locating one of the fourth prince's estates, which wasn't too far away. Her superpower had been growing stronger every day, allowing her to sense her surroundings without direct physical contact with plants. However, the range of her abilities had its limits. Thus, if she intended to cause trouble for the fourth prince, she knew it would be more effective to leave the wagon and approach the target directly. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1149. Trouble. She was excited about the prospect of having her own potato field next year. Considering her precious potatoes, Qiao Xian generously gifted 10 kilograms of high-quality potato seeds to the Yuezhing family, assuring Yuezhing Shao that they would yield delicious vegetables and rice. She emphasized that the seeds were advanced in production and easy to cultivate, ensuring a successful harvest regardless of the land they were planted on. Yuezhing Shao truly understood her intentions. She always sought out the best things. Confident in her recommendation, Yuezhing Shao felt as though he had stumbled upon a precious treasure. He consulted the experienced old gardener, seeking advice on the proper care and cultivation of potatoes. Determined to make the most of this opportunity, he planned to choose a suitable plot of land next year, plant the seeds diligently, and ensure proper care to maximize the harvest. After spending a couple of days in the province and visiting the Xie family, Qiao Xian returned to the capital without mentioning anything about He Jiqing. She chose to keep it private, knowing that she and the Xie family were not particularly close. If Xie Jingrong were present, she would have shared the information without hesitation, as she wouldn't tolerate any disrespect from He Jiqing. Determined to discuss this matter with Xie Jingrong in person, Qiao Xian still looked forward to their reunion. She and her husband had been away for quite some time, and she couldn't wait to return to Tianjin and complete the mission successfully. Qiao Xian expressed her appreciation for the productive and pleasant business trip, but she knew it was time for them to head home. With the year drawing to a close, everyone was eager to reunite with their families. The 6 escorts were remarkably vigilant and proactive throughout the journey. Thanks to Qiao Xian's guidance, they skillfully avoided encountering 2 rainy spells, ensuring an exceptionally smooth trip. As the days progressed, the weather grew colder, with early mornings being particularly chilly, but the daytime remained pleasant. Finally, on the 20th of November, they arrived in Tianjin. Qiao Xian paid the guards for their services and bid them farewell. Li Qiu and Li Xia, however, still felt a bit concerned. They requested Xiao Xian to arrange for the escorts to accompany them on their journey to the capital, as it was a considerable distance from Tianjin and would take a whole day. Their primary concern was the safety of their madam. Xiao Xian, with a reassuring smile, declined their request firmly. She pointed out that the journey to the capital was only a day's travel, and Tianjin was, in fact, considered a faraway suburb of the capital. The official road was well-traveled, broad, and flat, with a constant flow of people coming and going. Therefore, she believed there was no cause for worry regarding safety. Xiao Xian had her own matters to attend to and couldn't have the escort agency accompany her. Xiao Xian, well accustomed to traveling and possessing extensive knowledge, understood the crucial traits of reliable escorts. Besides their martial prowess, they needed to be cautious and alert. With the escorts accompanying her, Xiao Xian refrained from taking any action that might draw attention or suspicion. She felt like a ticking time bomb, always on the verge of being discovered. Noticing their wife's confidence and composure, Li Qiu and Li Xia felt somewhat reassured and decided to abandon the idea of having additional escorts accompany them. After spending one night in Tianjin, the group hired a wagon and continued their journey northward. When they were approximately 20 or 30 kilometers away from the capital, Xiao Xian suggested taking a break at a nearby tea house. Seizing the opportunity, Xiao Xian used the pretext of loosening her muscles and bones to venture into the woods. There, she expanded her divine sense, precisely locating one of the fourth prince's estates, which wasn't too far away. Her superpower had been growing stronger every day, allowing her to sense her surroundings without direct physical contact with plants. However, the range of her abilities had its limits. Thus, if she intended to cause trouble for the fourth prince, she knew it would be more effective to leave the wagon and approach the target directly. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1151. Where did Old Master go? Amitba, it was a safe trip. Yeah, we are back safe and sound. Xiao Xian's excitement soared as thoughts of her husband, whom she hadn't seen in so long, flooded her mind. The anticipation of their reunion and the old saying, "Absence makes the heart grow fonder," made her heart skip a beat, causing her cheeks to flush with joy. However, upon their return, Xiao Yunduan was not there to greet them. Instead, Songshi answered the door. Surprised and elated to see Songshi, Xiao Xian bowed deeply and smiled. "Songshi, you're here? That's wonderful." Xiao Xian smiled and nodded, asking, "Where is my husband? Has he not returned yet?" Hanlin Academy should have been off duty, so she wondered why he wasn't home. Annoyed thoughts crossed her mind. Could he have gone somewhere else without her knowledge? How dreadful. "Where is Old Master?" she asked, sounding rather stern as she turned to Songshi. Songshi had never seen her like this, and it caught him off guard. He replied, "Madam, Old Master is working for the Crown Prince, and I have been assisting him. Old Master mentioned that you would be back soon, so he asked me to come home the day before. He should be back in a couple of days, working for the Crown Prince?" Xiao Xian was startled. She had been gone for less than 2 months, and she felt out of touch with her husband, finding it difficult to comprehend what Songshi was talking about. What could the Hanlin Academy possibly do for the Crown Prince, especially when he was out of the capital? Songshi said, "Yes, madam, never mind." Xiao Xian waved her hands and said gently, "Let's eat dinner first, and after dinner, you can tell me about this. We won't cook tonight, but you can buy 4 or 5 dishes from G restaurant outside the alley. 1 soup and you can take care of the rest." Finding reassurance in the fact that Xiao Yunduan hadn't gone out to have fun, Xiao Xian's worries dissipated instantly. She sounded calm and gentle, like the gracious mistress of the family. Songshi had no idea what was going on with his mother-in-law, but he let out a sigh of relief and nodded. He took the money from Li Xia and went out to order food. Xiao Xian and her servant didn't have much luggage on the trip, only a few bags with some clothes. Li Xia and Li Qiu would carry them back to the room and put everything away. There was hot water in the kitchen, and a brick bed in the room made it very warm and cozy inside. Finally, they were home. Xiao Xian let out a sigh of relief, feeling a sense of relaxation wash over her. She smiled, feeling the warmth in her heart. This was her and her husband's home. Indeed, there was no place like home. Xiao Xian felt at ease, carefree, and nonchalant. Even the best hostels on the road couldn't compare to the comfort of being home. But her husband still wasn't there. Soon, Songshe returned with food boxes. Li Xia and Li Qiu quickly set up the table and carefully placed the dishes one by one. On the table were shredded pork with capital sauce, roast beef with winter bamboo shoots, sliced fish, stir-fried vegetables, and a large bowl of steaming mutton soup garnished with coriander and green onions. Additionally, there were 4 dishes from the restaurant: 8 treasure pickles, pickled radishes, mustard cabbage with sauce, and shredded bamboo shoots with red oil. Xiao Xian smiled. Let's start serving the dishes from the boxes before they get cold. Afterward, you can wash up and take a break. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1151. Where did Old Master go? Amitba, it was a safe trip. Yeah, we are back safe and sound. Xiao Xian's excitement soared as thoughts of her husband, whom she hadn't seen in so long, flooded her mind. The anticipation of their reunion and the old saying, "Absence makes the heart grow fonder," made her heart skip a beat, causing her cheeks to flush with joy. However, upon their return, Xiao Yunduan was not there to greet them. Instead, Songshe answered the door. Surprised and elated to see Songshe, Xiao Xian bowed deeply and smiled. "Songshe, you're here? That's wonderful." Xiao Xian smiled and nodded, asking, "Where is my husband? Has he not returned yet?" Hanlin Academy should have been off duty, so she wondered why he wasn't home. Annoyed thoughts crossed her mind. Could he have gone somewhere else without her knowledge? How dreadful. "Where is Old Master?" she asked, sounding rather stern as she turned to Songshe. Songshe had never seen her like this, and it caught him off guard. He replied, "Madam, Old Master is working for the Crown Prince, and I have been assisting him. Old Master mentioned that you would be back soon, so he asked me to come home the day before. He should be back in a couple of days. Working for the Crown Prince?" Xiao Xian was startled. She had been gone for less than 2 months, and she felt out of touch with her husband, finding it difficult to comprehend what Songshe was talking about. What could the Hanlin Academy possibly do for the Crown Prince, especially when he was out of the capital? Songshe said, "Yes, madam, never mind." Xiao Xian waved her hands and said gently, "Let's eat dinner first, and after dinner, you can tell me about this. We won't cook tonight, but you can buy 4 or 5 dishes from G restaurant outside the alley. 1 soup and you can take care of the rest." Finding reassurance in the fact that Xiao Yunduan hadn't gone out to have fun, Xiao Xian's worries dissipated instantly. She sounded calm and gentle, like the gracious mistress of the family. Songshe had no idea what was going on with his mother-in-law, but he let out a sigh of relief and nodded. He took the money from Li Xia and went out to order food. Xiao Xian and her servant didn't have much luggage on the trip, only a few bags with some clothes. Li Xia and Li Qiu would carry them back to the room and put everything away. There was hot water in the kitchen, and a brick bed in the room made it very warm and cozy inside. Finally, they were home. Xiao Xian let out a sigh of relief, feeling a sense of relaxation wash over her. She smiled, feeling the warmth in her heart. This was her and her husband's home. Indeed, there was no place like home. Xiao Xian felt at ease, carefree, and nonchalant. Even the best hostels on the road couldn't compare to the comfort of being home. But her husband still wasn't there. Soon, Songshe returned with food boxes. Li Xia and Li Qiu quickly set up the table and carefully placed the dishes one by one. On the table were shredded pork with capital sauce, roast beef with winter bamboo shoots, sliced fish, stir-fried vegetables, and a large bowl of steaming mutton soup garnished with coriander and green onions. Additionally, There were 4 dishes from the restaurant: 8 treasure pickles, pickled radishes, mustard cabbage with sauce, and shredded bamboo shoots with red oil. Qiao Xin smiled. Let's start serving the dishes from the boxes before they get cold. Afterward, you can wash up and take a break. Chapter 1153, Minister Old Yun. Xiao Yunduan's surprise was evident, yet he was determined not to let go of this golden opportunity. As he eloquently discussed a section of the book, the ministers couldn't help but commend him calmly. He couldn't help but feel inwardly pleased as he realized why the emperor had been so intrigued by his talents. Emperor Xian of Qi was even more delighted with Xiao Yunduan's performance. Although not a poetry enthusiast, the emperor was well versed in the 4 books and 5 sutras and recognized Xiao Yunduan's exceptional abilities in poetry as well. The emperor's joy knew no bounds as he honored Xiao Yunduan with a set of study treasures and a copy of the imperial book. However, this was not the end of the story. The young master overheard something intriguing about Xiao Yunduan's intermediate sutras and passed on the message to the East Palace. It was revealed that Xiao Yunduan's Master Yun happened to be the retired teacher of the Crown Prince. Master Yun's credentials were impressive as a contemporary Confucian with a distinguished career as an academician of the Hanlin Academy, left Assistant Minister of Rites, Minister of the Ministry of Personnel, and Grand Secretary of Yuan Pavilion. Prior to becoming the Grand Tutor of the Crown Prince, he had numerous disciples due to his fame and extensive network. Yet, the Crown Prince, along with the Second Prince, the Third Prince, and the Fourth Prince, managed the country's governance. To prevent any complications or interference, Master Yun chose to withdraw from his governmental position. His decision was to ensure that the Crown Prince could focus on his responsibilities without any unnecessary concerns or fears arising from Master Yun's presence in the court. The Crown Prince understood the reasons behind Master Yun's departure and reluctantly watched his honored tutor leave the capital. As the most devoted student of Minister Old Yun, the young master deeply respected his teacher and was well acquainted with the teachings he had passed on to Xiao Yunduan. When the young master noticed the similarities, he became suspicious and confronted Xiao Yunduan, ultimately confirming his suspicions by comparing the portrait of the old master. Both surprised and delighted, the Crown Prince and Xiao Yunduan were left in awe of the unexpected connection. It became clear why Master Yun had initially been hesitant to accept Xiao Yunduan as his disciple or allow him to address him as master. After the Crown Prince, Master Yun had refrained from taking on any more disciples, making Xiao Yunduan a unique exception. The revelation brought immense joy to the Crown Prince, as he realized that Xiao Yunduan was not merely his junior brother but a student taught directly by his beloved master. The familiarity he sensed in Xiao Yunduan's essay now made perfect sense, as Xiao Yunduan had absorbed some of the essence of Master Yun's style during their interactions. The discovery of this connection between the two left Xiao Yunduan dumbfounded and filled the Crown Prince with pride, knowing that his esteemed master's teachings continued to influence and shape talented individuals like Xiao Yunduan. However, during that time, the Crown Prince hadn't considered the possibility of reuniting with Xiao Yunduan, and now he deeply regretted it. He wished he had reconnected with him much earlier, avoiding the lost time. Despite the strangeness of their unexpected reunion, the Crown Prince couldn't hide his excitement as he looked at Xiao Yunduan with sparkling eyes. He was eager to inquire about the well-being of the Grand Tutor and was pleased to find Xiao Yunduan very amicable. Ever since Minister Old Yun left the capital, there had been no contact with him. The Crown Prince felt a sense of sadness whenever he thought about the elder man. He understood that the reason for Minister Old Yun's departure was likely to give up everything and leave behind the complexities of the court. Though the Crown Prince longed for the elder man's return to the capital, he was aware of the purpose behind his mentor's actions. He knew it was best for the elderly men to stay away from the court's intrigue and politics. The Crown Prince's father had placed great trust in Minister Old Yun, and it was due to that trust that the Crown Prince found himself in his current position. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1155. Returning Our Luck. That was the junior brother of the Crown Prince. Everyone knew how much the young master respected Minister Old Yun. He had been in the intermediate for a long time, and Minister Old Yun had never accepted any disciples or taught anyone. The disciples he had accepted in the early years were all much older than the young master, and they had their own careers, or they had taught countless disciples, so the young master did not need to ask for his guidance. One of Minister Old Yun's disciples was born after the Crown Prince, and the Crown Prince would definitely treat him well. Tian Shanshan felt a mix of sadness and bitterness. She had good taste, but what was the point of having good taste? It was not the right time. In the end, she got nothing. Officer Tian and Madame Tian were both annoyed. What was going on? Needless to say, Madame Lady Qiao felt furious as she covered her chest. She glared at Third Old Master and his wife, demanding them to bring Qiao Xian back home. That damned girl must have stolen our luck. She's so evil. Why did you even raise her? I want her to return our fortune to us. The couple from the first section of the family and the second section of the family did not say a thing. They looked at each other coldly, as if they believed what Third Old Master Qiao said. Or they would rather believe what they said. They started to view Third Old Master Qiao and his wife differently. That man was involved with Minister Old Yun. Minister Old Yun was the most respected scholar in the whole world, holding positions as the tutor of the Crown Prince and as a scholar of the academy. All scholars in the world admired him, including Third Old Master Qiao, Qiao Hongxi, and the son of the second section of the family. How fortunate it was for someone to be taught by Minister Old Yun, especially after having taught the young master. It was like receiving a lifetime of blessings. Qiao Hongxi and Qiao Hongquang were also highly motivated. They believed Madame Lady Qiao's words. Qiao Xian must have stolen the Qiao family's fortune. There couldn't be any other explanation. Otherwise, how could Xiao Yunduan have risen from a poor boy in the countryside, born to do labor work, to his current status? Third Old Master's face darkened with regret, feeling the pain in his chest. Third Madame Qiao's eyes turned red, as she cursed fate for being so unfair and blind. And when he thought about how Minister Old Yun had taught Xiao Yunduan in the county for so long, Third Old Master felt even more remorseful, wishing he could smash his head against the wall in frustration. It was exasperating. Qiao Xian might not know much, being a woman, but Xiao Yunduan was a man and should have had some knowledge. Even if he had no idea who Minister Old Yun was, he should not have lied about it. If he had known that there was such a knowledgeable man in the country, he should have informed him. After all, he was still their son-in-law at that time. Third Old Master couldn't bear it any longer, and he stopped Xiao Yunduan and blamed him. Xiao Yunduan was feeling increasingly frustrated. He had been worn out by all kinds of social gatherings in recent days, leaving him with no energy to engage with Third Old Master Qiao. Confronted by Third Old Master's angry accusations, he maintained a calm demeanor and responded, Minister Old Yun values tranquility and dislikes disturbances. He advised us not to mention him in front of others. This reply only further aggravated Third Old Master's annoyance. 4 days after the news was exposed, Xiao Yunduan received a transfer order from his officer's superior. He was officially appointed as the Minister Counselor of the Ministry of Revenue, receiving a promotion from a 7th-ranked officer to a 5th-ranked officer, a remarkable advancement of 2 ranks. For him, this promotion was nothing short of a miracle. Graciously accepting the order, Xiao Yunduan bid farewell to the Hanlin Academy and embraced his new position. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1157. Slap on the Face. Xiao Yunduan found himself in a dilemma and needed to carefully consider his next steps. Although he was leading a peaceful life, someone was causing trouble for him. The 4th prince and honored princess Mei were greatly annoyed by the situation. On the other hand, the 2nd prince and 3rd prince didn't pay much attention to Xiao Yunduan's actions. They believed that his association with the crown prince and his father's admiration didn't hold much significance as Xiao Yunduan lacked a powerful background and appeared too weak to be of any help to the crown prince. However, things took a different turn because of the Tian family's involvement. The fourth prince felt humiliated and slapped in the face due to their actions. Princess Virtue Sun's jokes in front of the Empress, which indirectly targeted honored Princess Mei, only fueled her annoyance further. Feeling humiliated and unable to tolerate the disrespect, honored Princess Mei decided to take a stand against the concubine. Moreover, the fourth prince's growing support and the emperor's favor towards him gave them a sense of superiority over the crown prince, who lacked the same level of backing from his mother's family. They were confident that the crown prince would eventually step down, but Xiao Yunduan's actions brought them face to face with a challenge from the crown prince's side. This situation worried them because they considered their reputation and the perceptions of their followers and those who remained neutral. They were aware that no one could compete with the crown prince, and his association with Minister Old Yun commanded even more respect and admiration. After much discussion, the mother and son decided to address the situation by confronting Xiao Yunduan. Wasn't he the Primus personally taught by Minister Old Yun? Wasn't he an advanced talent? But if he had a bad character and wasn't that good, did that mean that Minister Old Yun was getting old, not intermediate, and had bad taste? With this, she could get Minister Old Yun off the pedestal. If she could control it well, she might even be able to take down the crown prince. The fourth prince went back to the mansion and passed on the message to He Jiqing. You are the cousin of the Xie family, and I heard that young Master Xie is in a good relationship with Xiao Yunduan, right? I will leave this to you, and I don't care what method you use. If you succeed, I will treat you well. In the end, the fourth prince decided to listen to his mother and not look down at women. He Jiqing was the best person to deal with this. She was Xiao Yunduan's old friend, and even if that did not work out, she could be pushed out as the scapegoat. It was reasonable to say that they had a grudge against each other, and she was taking revenge on them. He Jiqing felt both bitter and motivated. That was not a very easy thing to do. She would definitely be moved. She was a concubine, and he would not treat her badly. He would either give her the position of a concubine or give her a son. Either way, she wanted them all. She even wanted both of them. But there was no free lunch in the world, and there was no free lunch. Elder Miss had given her a warning before, and she could still stall for time. But since His Highness said so, she could not delay any longer. He Jiqing asked Xiao Wei to meet her privately. Xiao Wei was very young, but she looked fierce. She was not having a good time either. She was suffering physically and mentally. That was such a huge blow to her. When Xiao Xian fell into the water and was forced to break off the engagement with the Yang family, she felt happy and gloating. Chapter 1157. Slap on the Face. Xiao Yunduan found himself in a dilemma and needed to carefully consider his next steps. Although he was leading a peaceful life, someone was causing trouble for him. The fourth prince and honored Princess Mei were greatly annoyed by the situation. On the other hand, the second prince and third prince didn't pay much attention to Xiao Yunduan's actions. They believed that his association with the crown prince and his father's admiration didn't hold much significance as Xiao Yunduan lacked a powerful background and appeared too weak to be of any help to the crown prince. However, things took a different turn because of the Tian family's involvement. The fourth prince felt humiliated and slapped in the face due to their actions. Princess Virtue Sun's jokes in front of the Empress, which indirectly targeted honored Princess Mei, only fueled her annoyance further. Feeling humiliated and unable to tolerate the disrespect, honored Princess Mei decided to take a stand against the concubine. Moreover, the fourth prince's growing support and the emperor's favor towards him gave them a sense of superiority over the crown prince, who lacked the same level of backing from his mother's family. They were confident that the crown prince would eventually step down, but Xiao Yunduan's actions brought them face to face with a challenge from the crown prince's side. This situation worried them because they considered their reputation and the perceptions of their followers and those who remained neutral. They were aware that no one could compete with the crown prince, and his association with Minister Old Yun commanded even more respect and admiration. After much discussion, the mother and son decided to address the situation by confronting Xiao Yunduan. Wasn't he the Primus personally taught by Minister Old Yun? Wasn't he an advanced talent? But if he had a bad character and wasn't that good, did that mean that Minister Old Yun was getting old, not intermediate, and had bad taste? With this, she could get Minister Old Yun off the pedestal. If she could control it well, she might even be able to take down the crown prince. The fourth prince went back to the mansion and passed on the message to He Jiqing. You are the cousin of the Xie family, and I heard that young Master Xie is in a good relationship with Xiao Yunduan, right? I will leave this to you, and I don't care what method you use. If you succeed, I will treat you well. In the end, the fourth prince decided to listen to his mother and not look down at women. He Jiqing was the best person to deal with this. She was Xiao Yunduan's old friend, and even if that did not work out, she could be pushed out as the scapegoat. It was reasonable to say that they had a grudge against each other, and she was taking revenge on them. He Jiqing felt both bitter and motivated. That was not a very easy thing to do. She would definitely be moved. She was a concubine, and he would not treat her badly. He would either give her the position of a concubine or give her a son. Either way, she wanted them all. She even wanted both of them. But there was no free lunch in the world, and there was no free lunch. Elder Miss had given her a warning before, and she could still stall for time. But since His Highness said so, she could not delay any longer. He Jiqing asked Xiao Wei to meet her privately. Xiao Wei was very young, but she looked fierce. She was not having a good time either. She was suffering physically and mentally. That was such a huge blow to her. When Xiao Xian fell into the water and was forced to break off the engagement with the Yang family, she felt happy and gloating. Chapter 1159. Exposure. That was what the emperor said, and no one would dare to doubt that. Also, this was the best and most effective method. He Jiqing had the backing of the fourth prince, and she didn't care if Tian Shanshan was satisfied or not. In her opinion, Xiao Yunduan was a sure bet working with the crown prince, and Tian Shanshan had no chance with him anymore. So she didn't need to worry about a thing. He Jiqing looked down at Xiao Wei. She was so timid and lacked courage. What could she do? But that was good too. Xiao Wei was the easiest person to manipulate. A few days later, a group from the Hanlin Academy gathered at Xiangshan to recite poetry, and they invited Xiao Yunduan along with some other young officials from the 6 departments. Xiao Yunduan couldn't turn down such a gathering, especially when he was in the limelight, otherwise, he would be blamed for not fitting in. Xiao Yunduan was well aware that he had become the junior brother of Minister Old Yun and the Crown Prince's junior brother. Everyone congratulated him on the surface, but they were all secretly jealous of his newfound status. At this moment, they couldn't leave any evidence behind. Also, things were different now. Since he had decided to make plans for the Crown Prince, he couldn't simply keep a low profile like before. It was more important for him to have a wide circle of friends and identify potential allies. The Xiang Mountains offered beautiful scenery, and they enjoyed swimming in the mountains and rivers. But why hadn't the thrifty people who gathered here made tea to add to the fun? Despite that, they had a great time throughout the day. In the afternoon, they returned to town and went straight to a restaurant for dinner. The cost of the dinner was pooled together. The fourth prince and the third prince had always been interested in these matters, so they gladly contributed as well. Xiao Yunduan, being a wealthy man, offered 100 liang when gathering the money. He might not match the third prince and the fourth prince, but his contribution was still quite impressive. With ample funds, the table was filled with good wine and delicacies. Everyone was talking and laughing, creating a lively atmosphere. One person took the lead in offering Xiao Yunduan a toast and congratulations, praising his promising future. Others followed suit, whether they were sincere or not. Xiao Yunduan had no reason to turn them down. If he did, it would seem too proud and rude. But with so many people around, he smiled bitterly and repeatedly expressed that he couldn't hold his liquor well. He apologized again and again, eventually convincing them to switch to smaller wine glasses. Reluctantly, Xiao Yunduan began drinking them one by one. After consuming so many glasses, Xiao Yunduan got quite drunk. Not wanting to drink any further, he pretended to be heavily intoxicated. Some guests remarked, "Just let him be," and others agreed, letting him off the hook. When the banquet was over, he arranged for someone to drive him home with the help of Songsher. At his doorstep, Songsher did his best to assist his master, thanking the officer who had seen them off. Once inside the yard, Songsher closed the door behind them. Xiao Yunduan leaned against the wall and vomited, feeling slightly better. To his surprise, he wasn't actually as drunk as he had led them to believe. He was impressed by how well he had managed to hold his liquor. After resting for a while in his room, he felt even more awake. Songsher hurriedly boiled hot water and fetched water for Xiao Yunduan to wash up. He prepared a bowl of hot tea to help alleviate the hangover. Additionally, he filled a thick cotton-coated jar with hot water, placing it at the head of his bed, so Xiao Yunduan could have water to drink in the middle of the night when he felt thirsty. With Song's assistance, Xiao Yunduan lay down, and as he closed the door, Songsher left the room. Chapter 1159. Exposure. That was what the emperor said, and no one would dare to doubt that. Also, this was the best and most effective method. He Jiqing had the backing of the fourth prince, and she didn't care if Tian Shanshan was satisfied or not. In her opinion, Xiao Yunduan was a sure bet working with the crown prince, and Tian Shanshan had no chance with him anymore. So she didn't need to worry about a thing. He Jiqing looked down at Xiao Wei. She was so timid and lacked courage. What could she do? But that was good too. Xiao Wei was the easiest person to manipulate. A few days later, a group from the Hanlin Academy gathered at Xiangshan to recite poetry, and they invited Xiao Yunduan along with some other young officials from the 6 departments. Xiao Yunduan couldn't turn down such a gathering, especially when he was in the limelight, otherwise, he would be blamed for not fitting in. Xiao Yunduan was well aware that he had become the junior brother of Minister Old Yun and the Crown Prince's junior brother. Everyone congratulated him on the surface, but they were all secretly jealous of his newfound status. At this moment, they couldn't leave any evidence behind. Also, things were different now. Since he had decided to make plans for the Crown Prince, he couldn't simply keep a low profile like before. It was more important for him to have a wide circle of friends and identify potential allies. The Xiang Mountains offered beautiful scenery, and they enjoyed swimming in the mountains and rivers. But why hadn't the thrifty people who gathered here made tea to add to the fun? Despite that, they had a great time throughout the day. In the afternoon, they returned to town and went straight to a restaurant for dinner. The cost of the dinner was pooled together. The fourth prince and the third prince had always been interested in these matters, so they gladly contributed as well. Xiao Yunduan, being a wealthy man, offered 100 liang when gathering the money. He might not match the third prince and the fourth prince, but his contribution was still quite impressive. With ample funds, the table was filled with good wine and delicacies. Everyone was talking and laughing, creating a lively atmosphere. One person took the lead in offering Xiao Yunduan a toast and congratulations, praising his promising future. Others followed suit, whether they were sincere or not. Xiao Yunduan had no reason to turn them down. If he did, it would seem too proud and rude. But with so many people around, he smiled bitterly and repeatedly expressed that he couldn't hold his liquor well. He apologized again and again, eventually convincing them to switch to smaller wine glasses. Reluctantly, Xiao Yunduan began drinking them one by one. After consuming so many glasses, Xiao Yunduan got quite drunk. Not wanting to drink any further, he pretended to be heavily intoxicated. Some guests remarked, "Just let him be," and others agreed, letting him off the hook. When the banquet was over, he arranged for someone to drive him home with the help of Songsher. At his doorstep, Songsher did his best to assist his master, thanking the officer who had seen them off. Once inside the yard, Songsher closed the door behind them. Xiao Yunduan leaned against the wall and vomited, feeling slightly better. To his surprise, he wasn't actually as drunk as he had led them to believe. He was impressed by how well he had managed to hold his liquor. After resting for a while in his room, he felt even more awake. Songshi hurriedly boiled hot water and fetched water for Xiao Yunduan to wash up. He prepared a bowl of hot tea to help alleviate the hangover. Additionally, he filled a thick cotton-coated jar with hot water, placing it at the head of his bed, so Xiao Yunduan could have water to drink in the middle of the night when he felt thirsty. With Song's assistance, Xiao Yunduan lay down, and as he closed the door, Songshi left the room. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1161. Good Tolerance. Xiao Yunduan's eyes were filled with a chilling sneer as he looked upon the scene. That was a good plan. Deep down, he knew that the unexpected encounter with Qiao Wei at his doorstep while he was inebriated, and with Qiao Xian absent, was no mere accident. It had to be orchestrated, likely involving the Tian family or the fourth prince's mansion. Only they could have ensured he got drunk tonight. While the Qiao family might have seen this as a golden opportunity to bring Qiao Wei closer to the crown prince, they couldn't have controlled whether he would end up inebriated or not. Recognizing the scheme at play, Xiao Yunduan jotted down a few notes and dispatched Songshi to the crown prince's mansion. He instructed Songshi to find the patrolling soldiers and inform them that he had forgotten about an urgent matter that needed his attention. This way, he could excuse his hasty departure from the current scene to avoid potential trouble. With still some time before midnight, Songshi discreetly left the place, his presence hardly drawing any attention. However, when he stumbled upon Qiao Wei lying on the ground, he was taken aback and wisely refrained from probing further. Their master would never approve of elder Miss Qiao, so Songshi was convinced that he had been deceived. Despite this, he had no intention of casting Qiao Wei aside. He and Songshi knew that transporting her elsewhere was challenging as they lacked a wagon and risked being noticed if they tried to move her discreetly. Moreover, leaving Qiao Wei outside would mean subjecting her to the freezing weather, potentially resulting in her death. If she were to pass away near her own home, suspicion would undoubtedly fall on them. Another concern was the possibility of guards sent by the Tian family or the fourth prince being stationed nearby. Any attempt to carry Qiao Wei away could lead to their capture, and explaining their actions would be an arduous task. Aware of the potential enemies he would encounter once he became the crown prince's confidant, Xiao Yunduan had always been vigilant. However, he had never expected such a vile scheme to be set in motion against him. Fortunately, his alcohol tolerance saved them from disaster. Otherwise, they would have been in grave danger. Yet, who could have predicted that their peaceful day of enjoying mountain scenery and poetry would turn into a night of revelry and drunkenness at home? It was not uncommon for them to doze off under such circumstances. But they were waiting for them here. Xiao Yunduan felt that he would have been utterly humiliated if he had been set up in his own home. Nothing could be more frustrating than this. Taking a moment to compose himself, Xiao Yunduan decided to take action. He retrieved some ropes and securely tied up Qiao Wei, making sure she couldn't cause any trouble. The sight of her, the lineal daughter of the Qiao family and a noble lady, bound and helpless, filled him with disgust. Meanwhile, Songshi ventured outside and quickly located a small team from the military department responsible for night patrols. He revealed his identity and explained the situation, requesting their assistance. Upon learning that it concerned the crown prince, the team didn't dare to waste any time and immediately sent 2 men to accompany Songshi to the crown prince's mansion. Arriving at the crown prince's mansion late at night, Song's presence startled the gatekeeper, who promptly allowed him in while notifying the crown prince of his arrival. Upon reading the note Xiao Yunduan had entrusted to Songshi, the crown prince's expression turned grave, his inner fury mounting. Had it not been for Xiao Yunduan's ability to handle alcohol, his reputation would have suffered irreparable damage the following day. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1163. Instigated? Xiao Yunduan briskly left the room, striding toward Xiao Hongxi and positioning himself in front of the door. Xiao Hongxi, what brings you here? He asked calmly. Xiao Hongxi's face was flushed with anger. How dare you ask me that? You've bullied my sister and ruined her reputation. How could you have the audacity to question me? He had harbored the thought of hitting Xiao Yunduan for a while, and he saw this as the perfect opportunity. Rolling up his sleeves, he prepared to strike. Reacting quickly, Songshi stepped forward and grabbed Xiao Hongxi's hands, shouting, "Young Master Qiao, don't do anything rash. Our fifth master holds a prominent position as a fifth-grade minister of revenue, while you are merely a fortunate man from Hanlin Academy. Hitting our fifth master would be a grave offense to your superior." At the mention of Xiao Yunduan's status, Xiao Hongxi's anger subsided somewhat. The bystanders who had followed Xiao Hongxi were eager to intervene, but they held back, realizing the situation's seriousness. It was a tense and charged moment. Glancing at the onlookers, Xiao Yunduan discerned that they were no ordinary troublemakers. Their willingness to come to Xiao Hongxi's aid hinted that they were manipulated into this confrontation. A faint smile crossed Xiao Yunduan's face, finding their arrogance amusing. "Young Master Qiao, please explain yourself clearly. Why have you come to my home so early in the morning and made such baseless accusations? You can't simply defame me like this. If you fail to provide a reasonable explanation, we can settle this matter at the Heavenly Mansion office," Xiao Yunduan calmly retorted. "How dare you say that?" Xiao Hongxi's rage intensified. "My sister visited you yesterday to mend ties between our families, but she didn't return home the entire night. How dare you claim that you had no part in it? How dare you deny any involvement? You have the audacity to suggest searching me? If you do so and find nothing, then let's see what you have to say." Xiao Hongxi threatened, attempting to challenge Xiao Yunduan's innocence. Outside the door, a group of curious neighbors had gathered, drawn in by the commotion. They were taken aback by Xiao Hongxi's accusations and exchanged puzzled glances. "What is happening? This doesn't seem right. I can't believe Officer Xiao would do something like that. He has a good relationship with Madame Xiao." Indeed, Officer Xiao is known for his talent and was personally taught by Minister Old Yun. It's hard to believe he could be involved in such a matter. I'm skeptical about this. Agreed, let's not jump to conclusions without proper evidence. Xiao Yunduan's expression turned disdainful. "This is utterly ridiculous. You think you can just barge in and search my room without any evidence?" Xiao Hongxi's aggression only intensified. "Your guilt is evident from your defensive stance. That tactic won't work on me. I've even claimed that the Qiao family stole 1,000 liang from me. If you doubt my word, feel free to search my room. I have nothing to hide." "You're being completely unreasonable." "Hee." Xiao Yunduan shook his head, realizing his words fell on deaf ears. "Xiao Hongxi, I'm not joking around here. I won't let you invade my privacy and disturb my home just based on baseless accusations. This is not going to happen." "I don't care. Xiao Yunduan, I'm dead serious about this matter. I will search your room today, whether you like it or not. I won't let my sister suffer for nothing. Politeness won't work with him. Just go ahead and search." "We'll see who dares." Xiao Yunduan retorted sharply. "You may be young Master Qiao, but that doesn't give you the right to trespass and act like a robber. You're blatantly disregarding the law and challenging the court. Be careful of the consequences you'll face, like beheading. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1165. Disbelief. So, Xiao Yunduan selected a few respected elders from the community to help him search the room. As they began the search, Xiao Hongxi couldn't help but feel a surge of envy at how well-liked Xiao Yunduan was among the neighbors. Inwardly, he started to entertain the idea that his grandmother might have been right. Perhaps Xiao Xian had stolen their family fortune and given it to Xiao Yunduan. How else could he have such strong support and freedom to act as he pleased? Xiao Hongxi's annoyance grew, and he glared at Xiao Yunduan, determined to teach him a lesson. Believing that finding his sister would prove Xiao Yunduan's deceit, Xiao Hongxi stormed into the room, accompanied by the others. To their surprise, they couldn't find Xiao Wei anywhere, leaving them dumbfounded. Xiao Hongxi didn't realize the significance of this, but Xiao Yunduan did. The idle men exchanged anxious glances, sensing that something was amiss. Xiao Yunduan knew exactly where they had come from, and his mind raced to understand the situation. How is this possible? How can she be gone? Xiao Hongxi exclaimed in disbelief. Recalling the letter he received, detailing Xiao Yunduan's actions the previous night and his supposed interactions with Xiao Wei, he had believed every word. Furthermore, he had even checked Xiao Wei's room and found it empty. It was clear that she wasn't there. Xiao Hongxi had sought out the assistance of some passers-by, asking them to join in the search. In his mind, Xiao Yunduan must be hiding something, as he had repeatedly rejected their offers to help. But now, faced with the inability to find his sister, Xiao Hongxi's frustration peaked. "You must have hidden her," he accused Xiao Yunduan, his emotions getting the best of him. Xiao Yunduan's voice turned cold as he retorted, "Xiao Hongxi, it seems like you're the only one who's vocal here, right? You believe what you say is the absolute truth? Fine, then take me to the governmental office if that's what you think. Your sister's disappearance is a serious matter, after all." Xiao Hongxi was already panicking. "Last night she clearly, you saw that?" "No, but, heard that? Who did you hear this from?" Xiao Hongxi had no idea who it was, and even if he did, he would not reveal the secret. Neighbors could not stand that anymore. They complained. "That is so over the top. They are ruining Officer Xiao's reputation." "I knew it. Officer Xiao is not like this." "I almost believed what that man said, but that man looks so mean and wretched. He is definitely not a good person." Xiao Hongxi's face flushed with anger as he snapped, "I am not mistaken. My sister must have been here. You must have set her up." Xiao Yunduan sneered in response to Xiao Hongxi's accusation. As they continued to argue, a team of guards entered the room, causing Xiao Hongxi to startle. The onlookers' hearts sank, sensing trouble was brewing. Seizing the opportunity, Xiao Yunduan pointed at Xiao Hongxi and said to the guards, "Thank you for your timely arrival. This man has falsely accused me, and I have no idea what he's talking about. Please escort him to the governmental office and request the governor to interrogate him." The guards greeted Xiao Yunduan respectfully and nodded in agreement. Songshi, one of the onlookers, took this moment to recount the entire incident to the guards. The leader of the guards seemed eager to please Xiao Yunduan and showed no concern for Xiao Hongxi. He promptly ordered his men to fetch Xiao Yunduan. Furious at Xiao Yunduan's actions, Xiao Hongxi struggled and yelled, "Xiao Yunduan, you set up my sister and attempted to frame me. You are a disgraceful son-in-law of the Qiao family. My father must have been blind to accept you into our family. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1167. Nonsense? Impossible. That is impossible. Xiao Hongxi was not stupid either. The letter clearly explained how Xiao Yunduan behaved the day before, how his sister went to the Xiao family to beg Xiao Yunduan, and how Xiao Yunduan took her into the yard. In short, there were so many details, and it couldn't have been a rumor made out of nothing. Those who were not at Xiao Yunduan's gathering the day before would not have known so many details. Those details could be verified by asking a few people who were present that day. As long as the details could be proved to be true, then the other contents of the letter could be believed, right? Or maybe Xiao Yunduan was the suspect. That was why Xiao Hongxi dared to cause trouble for Xiao Yunduan. Also, he was worried that Xiao Yunduan would move his sister away. So he rushed to the Xiao residence as soon as he heard the news and confirmed that his sister was not in the room. But he had not expected that Xiao Yunduan would report this to the governmental office. He reported this to the governmental office. What he had not expected was that the letter, which he had been holding in his arms, disappeared without a trace. Xiao Hongxi, how dare you? The governor got impatient and snapped. Xiao Hongxi shivered and almost tripped. Officer, that is not true. I swear that the letter did exist, otherwise, I would not have known that Xiao Yunduan would do something like this. Yes, Xiao Yunduan must have stolen the letter. He must have. The governor was so annoyed that he sneered. You are a scholar? You are so unreasonable. You mean Officer Xiao stole the letter from you in public? What else could Xiao Hongxi say? He gritted his teeth and nodded. Yes, officer. Nonsense. Without evidence, it is a false accusation. You are a scholar, don't you know anything? Xiao Hongxi hated it when people looked down at him for not being a scholar. He was so angry that he wanted to argue, but he had no idea what to say. At this moment, the messenger from the Qiao family returned. Officer, the lady of the Qiao family is at the mansion and she is fine. Xiao Hongxi was startled. The governor sneered. What else do you have to say? That can't be possible. She is not here, how could she? The constable threw a speechless look at him. Ms. Qiao said that she had lost something, and she was looking for it in the garden early in the morning. Xiao Hongxi staggered and suddenly looked up with a scream. It is a trap. Officer, Xiao Yunduan must have set me up. He set me up. He must have sent someone to give me the letter. Then he tried to steal it away. He set me up. The governor did not even want to look at him anymore. He was thinking that the young master of the Qiao family must have lost his mind. It was no wonder that he was getting worse and worse at the Hanlin Academy. What was the point of being an officer? She could just go home and save herself the embarrassment. Where is the evidence? The letter is the proof, but where is the letter? You can't offer it? What more do you have to say? Are you going to judge the case, or am I? You are just a scholar, and you don't know what it means to have no evidence? Officer, if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning in to the Wandering Hero YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.